method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook, ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768. www.abcambertv.com.
Fellow Ambazonians, good evening and welcome to this very special broadcast. Today marks exactly 1 year since the untimely passing of a great warrior of Ambazonia, a son of Bui Insubu, a valiant fighter who stood unwaveringly to free his people from the Franco-Cameroon hegemony. Insubu, amidst the darkness of our time, amidst the difficulties, stood against hope to ensure that his homeland was free. He fought a good fight of faith. And today, Ambazonians home and abroad from every country, from every continent, remember a man who left a legacy. And you know the legacy is a legacy that General Tokantu, we saw today, the fighters in Bu are blowing up La République du Cameroon military tankers like never before. They thought that they were going to kill Insubu. When we say the resurrection of Insubu, we're likening it to one that has been sacrificed for 10,000. Today, we have thousands of Insubu scattered all over Amazonia, and La République du Cameroon is yet to see what is there to come for them. We will be having a very important discussion this evening with scholars, great minds, legal minds of Ambazonia, to talk on a very pertinent issue. In 2019, La République du Cameroon gave to us a status they called special status, an international crisis group, which we are told, according to Wikipedia, that this international crisis group is a transnational non-for-profit non-governmental organization that was founded in 1995. It is a think tank used by policymakers and academics performing research and analysis on global crisis. We would say that what they call the Anglophone crisis was a poor investigation. No scientific investigation has been made based on their recommendation. The International Crisis Group is recommending or proposing to the government of Yaoundé to revise, in other words, reform the special status that was given to Ambazonians, a status that Ambazonians rejected, a status that was an insult, a provocation. And the question remains, how come two states of equal status is now having one of the states giving another a special status? What happens to the equality that was from the start? What happened to that equal status that belonged to two parties? I'm talking about Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroon on the day that they both decided to come into an experimental union that has failed. A lot of Ambazonians have grumbled. There are some who think that perhaps they have an option. But if Ambazonia as a nation, as a people, chooses to reject La République du Cameroon special status and now possibly a reformed special status, what is the option Ambazonia is presenting to the international community? It's a question I have scholars, I have legal minds here tonight to answer. And right after this break, as we continue to commemorate this day for General Insubu or FM Insubu and all our valiant fighters that have been wasted, I like you to wait and I make sure to connect Pa Augustine Dangam. I can see he's already connected. Fortunately, we have Professor Bridget Table. You know her already. She's connected. We have Barrister Fru is connected. And Barrister Ghana Valentine has indicated in the next few minutes he will be with us. But right after this break, we would like you to follow up this discussion. For those of you who are watching us on our social media platforms, on Facebook and on YouTube, share and invite somebody. Tell somebody we are live and this is Easter evening. We have a pertinent discussion that your contribution can never ever be undermined. Keep sharing. We'll open the phone lines at the end of the day so you can make your contribution. Stay tuned.
When il love faire vous qu'elle vit ta vie. I sweet him love for faire quelques savi. Kinyo ki bombena I love you. I been quarantine I love you. God when il love for faire bo enako. Aji very tongue bena jim yedelena. Ata very tongue bena jim yedelena. Ata very tongue bena jim yedelena. Ti one very tongue bena jim yedelena. Kadam kadam majimi dondo. So with them shy young doggo. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. na bilame Sawi yo la yo tango mo lontu yoba Yembo purinyo yo jama yoba Yembo shushe yo jako yoba Yoba no de yobonge Yembo will go no ben ko yobe Yembo wan bon to di ben ko yoba Yoba no de yobonge Yoba no bo yobe mnawera Lontu yoba the one for now Ombo shushe yo the one for now Yembo purinyo yo the one for now Yoba no de yobonge
Shawo sawadwa tumchere wakuma Shusha mayo ven koi mina yuun bachanga Ve yo funky fa ave yo tanky fa Ve the one gon so ave yo yulambara Amo oga ajishiman Aver kuti karaman Sungnen nam gor gon so len Awo nyama mo shiman Ven koti wiyo Vasan wachanga Jiven koti wiyo Vasan wayo Wade sa benyen kebe na kuwait fana Lego wange be me ye wong so Ven loka tie lawi lesin fola Fola wong so Tie we load for me law lesin fere
Ayenali, ibida mai, jayenali, ibida mai. Wo masaluka takusika tala do.
Ibu once away. Ibu once away. Belum malum kid ben na yo wiro. We go back up and oh, are you with for day?
Show man, yemolan tumyo, shushe witia, burinya yo, we the one to Kita chafomba mojim dulaje kupi jomdi tanto jok fongo shuo me warang bongo msawi yele wuno myo Jinjanga bimi wuno ye bimi la
Now we be the boys from South. That's what I'm saying.
You're welcome back. You know, there's a spirit of Amazonia that's a strong spirit. It's an audacious spirit. It's a spirit that will cause Amazonians to pick up sticks, knives, then guns to face an army that is properly equipped, an army that was financed by France, by the United States of America, that has been trained for at least 5 decades. We had the Amazonian spirit, a strong spirit that Bui County, under the leadership of Tokandu now, and then in Subu, was leading the pace, faced Cameroon. And that's the spirit that we are keeping, is a spirit that we are sure to win La République in no time. Tonight, we want to start a discussion that is a discussion you have been waiting for. On the 31st of March, the International Crisis Group sent out a document, and in their recommendation, we are told the International Crisis Group is a research center. They research about crises around the world, work with policymakers and with government officials to make propositions that will enable peace. But it would appear that the International Crisis Group took captions on the social media to make a proposition, and that places a question on their integrity to talk on our issue. International Crisis Group is asking the BR government to reform their special status and to impose that status on us. I have with me on the panel tonight, I have Professor Bridget Table, I have Pa Augustine Dangam, and I also have Barrister Fru Johnson. Barrister Ghana Valentine will be here. I brought these individuals tonight because they are scholars, they are legal minds, and they are probably doing some form of research that will help the International Crisis Group in their research and to make, perhaps, if need be, they can make a better recommendation to La République of Cameroon and to the international community. Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening. Greetings, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening, Daddy. It's my very diligent pleasure to have you here this evening. I will start with a lady. I forwarded that document to all of you yesterday, and I'm sure you would have perused. And as a diligent professor that I know, you may have a word or two to say about it. Barrister Fru, you're welcome too. Please,
Thank you.
Professor Table, maybe you should take the lead. You've read that document. What do you have to say about it? I'm talking about the
Um,
historical bearing of that recommendation.
well, again, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Barrister Fru Pandangam. Glad to see you. Um, that document by the International Crisis Group, it's funny in so many ways, and that recommendation doesn't seem to hold any strength today. If we look at the context within which that special status came out, it came out of that failed national dialogue or the national monologue that has been touted by La République government and CPDM proponents as an inclusive dialogue or a frank dialogue, whereas we all know that wasn't the case. And so even those recommendations that came out of their national dialogue, where those who were supposed to be at that dialogue were excluded. They cannot even maintain the special status because since 2019 up till today, what was even proposed in terms of taking special measures to create equality, in English language or French language or national life or reinforce autonomy of decentralized regions. Nothing has been decentralized. Our leaders that you mentioned earlier are still in jail. So what are they talking about? How can we revisit something that doesn't even make sense? And so to even think that they are suggesting a revisit of that special status, first, the grounds on giving or granting special status are not even allowed. These were two states of equal status. We start from that premise. Two states of equal status. How can La République du Cameroun be thinking that they can give special status to the former British Cameroons, a trust territory like themselves? And so we look at all of this and we just say it's part of that arrogance that La République du Cameroun has managed to push to the international community. And some organizations like this International Crisis Organization or group are buying into all of that. La République has not been interested in anything but La République. They've not been interested in listening to what the problems are or trying to get to the root causes of that problem. And so revisiting special status is null and void, in my opinion. Thank you so much.
Okay, it would appear that Pa Ndangam is disconnected, so I will come back to you
Sure.
on this whole issue, Professor Table. I'll get back to you so that we can get to we can be making the loud sounding statements of two equal status, but we need to
Mhm.
get down into the historicity of that. But before I get back to you, let's listen to Barrister Fru. You would have La République du Cameroon narrowing this whole thing into a language issue. That's why you have the crisis good talk crisis, whatever they call themselves,
Mm.
claiming to have a reform of a special status for the Anglophone problem or the Northwest and Southwest regions, like they call it. Please talk to us.
Yes, Paddy, thank you very much. I read the proposal by the International Crisis Group very carefully, and I came up with the conclusion. It's a continuation of the international community's conspiracy perpetrated on the people and government of the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Because a cursory reading of the Resolution 1608 will show that we were forced into this as equal partners, equal independent states. I don't want to say that we joined La République du Cameroon because I've always taken the position that we never joined because of the failure of the implementation of Resolution 1608 by the United Nations, the 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 the, the governing authorities of the then Southern Cameroons, British Southern Cameroons, and the French and the English. But I don't know why the world is wasting its time. The conspiracy to keep us together with La République du Cameroon will not work. The International Crisis Group has shown by the way they coined this special recommendation for special status as to tell the world that Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia should abandon its independence that was voted for on the 21st of April 1961, that the people of the Southern Cameroons should remain under La République du Cameroon as it was then, but with a slight arrangement of autonomy within the La République du Cameroon. We have told the world very clearly from 2017 that we have restored the independence that was voted for in 1961. And if La République wants to still go ahead with its proposals, they should come to the table and tell us that and see where we go from there. The International Crisis Group is unqualified to say anything at this stage of this war about special status. That is an idea that they have been bought, that they were sold to by La République du Cameroon. La République du Cameroon has been fighting us for the last this is the 7th year we're starting. An International Crisis Group will go and take the national monologue, extract what they call the special status from the Grand National Dialogue, and put it in its own way and come and tell us we should take that as a compromise. We will never take that because we are fighting for independence. We are in the war of independence. It was declared to us by La Republic of Cameroon, and we have fought for 6, 7 years. We are not going back. We are going to the table to tell La Republic and the world that we were an independent country. We want our sovereignty reestablished. We are not looking for independence because we have it already. We want our sovereignty reestablished, and La Republic should leave our territory. But if they have,
Shalom.
if the International Crisis Group is a partner with La Republic of Cameroon, let the International Crisis Group join La Republic of Cameroon and come to the negotiation table. We are not even begging them to come to any table. We are looking for recognition from countries around the world who are members of the United Nations to recognize our sovereignty. Not the only need to recognize our sovereignty. Our independence was already established by the vote of the 21st of April 1961. So, Paddy, when I read that thing, it's another piece of trash. It's a conspiracy by some of these groups that are parading the world, calling themselves uh, uh, a group that is working for world crisis and so on and so forth. And very soon, Amnesty International will come out with its own. The others will come out with their own. That is it's dead on arrival because we are not inviting them to come into this crisis. We are not inviting them to come into this crisis. They should stay. They should do. There are many crises around the world. Why are they interested in us? Why is the United Nations not interested in all the international crisis group? Why are they interested now, 7 years after fighting a war, losing more than 60,000 people? They'll come and sit down and tell us to accept special status to stay with La Republic of Cameroon. Dead
They're
on
actually
arrival.
recommending to La Republique du Cameroon to revise their
To
special
revise.
status.
They will revise all their care, all our care. Let them revise anything. We are out. We are not part of La Republic. We have never been part of La Republic of Cameroon. And we are not accepting any referendum. I have said this over and over. We will not accept a referendum.
Before we even get into that, Barrister Fro, we're going to get into that towards the end of our discussion for today.
Yes.
But thank God you're connected. Professor Table, you have a second device on, and that's interfering our sound. That's why I muted you. Try to see that your second device is muted. But Pa,
Yeah.
I'm coming to you. I want to welcome. You are reconnected. Barrister Fru has a very strong argument, and his argument is we have never ever been part or legally part of La Republique du Cameroon as a nation. I would like you most probably to react to that. But first of all, you would have read the International Crisis Group document that they proposed to us, or they are proposing to La Republique du Cameroon as a way of ensuring peace. Do you want to talk to us now? And welcome. Pa, it's your turn to speak. Whoever is there to help you with the camera can help to bring it down a little bit more, so you can speak to us. Meanwhile, I'm trying to see if we can log in Barrister Ghana. Professor Table, you're not. There's still some sound coming from your end. Okay, let me follow
No,
up
I
with
don't.
Pa. Let me follow up with Pa and see what is happening. Just in a few minutes, we'll be back. That's always a challenge to get Pa on board. Okay, thank you. He's back. Okay, Pa. Yes, the floor is yours. Pa Ndangam, the floor is yours.
His microphone is not on.
We cannot get your sound. Um, Try to ask someone to put on your microphone so that we can get sound from your end. The mic, good. Your sound is there now. Can you speak?
Do you get me now?
Yes, man.
Perfect. Sound good and clear. You're, it's okay. You switched it off again. Switch it one more time. Just touch the sound button. That's all. Okay, power is off again. Let me follow up with that. Fellow Amazonians, for those of you watching us on social media, keep sharing. I want to ensure that I get Pa Augustine Dangam and Barrister Ghana. We will not take long, in just a few seconds. We'll be right back. Just give us a few seconds. Welcome back. Yes, I think we have Pa now. Pa, before you got interrupted, Barrister Fru was bringing up a very strong argument that even before we start looking at what the International Crisis Group is babbling or suggesting or recommending, we have never ever had any legal relationship with La République de Cameroon. I'd like you maybe to react to that, but first of all, I'm sure you would have read the document. The floor is all yours. Welcome.
Um, Thank you very much. Thank you for selecting us to talk on this topic. I didn't hear the professor all out, but I heard part of what Barrister Fu said. And I agree with Dr. with Dr. Fu completely. We have never joined these people, and they claim that we are part of their country, the claim province or two of their country. That is a claim. That claim is not a fact. It has to be established, proven before a court, and the court says, yes, you are part of it. Then the burden is on them to establish their right to us. The fact they claim that we are part country. That is not to say we did not, this is not refusing that we voted to join them. We did. We voted and the majority to join them. But that voting was not there. When we voted to join them, by a vast majority, they officially of our choice to join voluntarily. They voted against the proposal by the nations that we should join them. Those who have copies of Resolution 1608 have just got to pick up the result, how tallied, and they will see that among the countries that voted no, the negative vote there stands for the fact that they don't agree with the United Nations proposal that Southern Cameroon should join the Republic of Cameroon. That's one interpretation of the and the no Republic of Cameroon voting no also signified that we were voting to join them, and that no also that they did not give that for us to join them. That no meant that the United Nations could not force our joining them upon them. If the United Nations, by its Charter 27, see that they cannot enforce a decision on a member state if that member state says no. So they voted no, and they did not give their consent. We were one territory with Northern Cameroon. We were British Cameroons. It was the British that, within 1 year of our being an international territory, within 1 year, it was not up to 1 year, the British government divided British Cameroon into two, Northern Cameroon and Southern Cameroons, and took the stand that Northern Cameroon should be part of Northern Nigeria and Southern Cameroon should be part of Eastern Nigeria. And from that, not up to a year of British Cameroons into North Cameroon and Southern Cameroons, the story on the history of British Cameroon goes down the history under the League of Nations as Northern Cameroon, part of Northern Nigeria, and Southern Cameroon, part of Eastern Nigeria. It is only at the time when we were coming to independence, being part of Nigeria, that the United Nations came up with resolutions to retrieve us back, to say, no, this is an international territory. They should be separated from Nigeria before Nigeria. Otherwise, actually, along under the League of Northern Cameroon and Southern Cameroons. And the Britain, it was our choice to be Northern Cameroon and Southern Cameroons. But Britain argued all along that unity or cohesion between North and South, North-South cohesion was not possible. And it was they said that it was not easy to form one unified country. One British United, we were an international trust, mandated territory, one territory. And we should have emerged into independence as British Cameroons or Ambazonia, as we choose to call ourselves. What is important and in the end, at the point of our getting independence, the United Nations came back with its separate resolutions and brought us back as British Cameroons out of Nigeria. And then the British came along to say, no, we're not fit to be an independent sovereign country, small and too poor. And you want to ask yourself, you don't need to be a lawyer even to know this logic, to ask logically, if these people were too small to be a sovereign country, and they were one British country, but
We deeply apologize for the interruption there, coming mostly from Dangam's angle. I'm sure the last time we had him, he was trying to give an argument of our relationship or illegal relationship with the Republic of Cameroon
With
across
Larry.
the table. I'd like you
Yes,
to cue in there.
yes. I think Pandangam was trying to explain how we ended up with La Republique and the 1961 plebiscite that was not properly conducted, or that was really grounds for dismissal, because the independence that emerged out of that context, independence by joining either French-speaking La République du Cameroun or joining Nigeria, ignoring that third option that was purely independent, is the crux of the problems that Southern Cameroon is facing today. And so to not have that third option and to force former British Trust territory to join La République du Cameroun creates this problem that we're facing today. And that was a gross violation of Article 1514 of the UN Trusteeship Agreement, where the trusted territories were supposed to be administered and prepared for independence. And so demands for that third option were denied. And immediately following that plebiscite on April 21st, 1961, we now have a situation where the United Nations General Assembly adopted that resolution 1608. Even though it authorized the independence of Southern Cameroons, we have those records revealing that a whopping 64 nations voted overwhelmingly to authorize British Southern Cameroon's independence. You had 24 countries that voted against, including La République du Cameroun. And that is what Pandangam was saying, that if you are voting against another entity's independence, you cannot also now be agreeing to incorporate that entity or that nation into your own. And so the illegalities abound in this case. Then we had 10 abstentions. And so when you combine those who voted against and those who abstained, you have barely half of those who voted overwhelmingly. And so the question that we should be asking is, how come a nation that had its independence already granted by the United Nations General Assembly and was in the same category with other trust territories, such as British Togoland, such as Tanganyika, such as Rwanda, Burundi, such as French Cameroon, or Western Samoa in other places, New Zealand? How come all these places are independent today and only former British Southern Cameroons is still fighting for the recognition of its independence? How come the international community is so silent about this gross misrepresentation of law and abuse on British Southern Cameroons? How come today we're even listening to an international crisis group talking about reformation of a special status? La République du Cameroun is not qualified to grant special status to former British Southern Cameroon or West Cameroon. They are not qualified to do that. And so to even consider this, when this was a nation that was independent, just like they were, a separate state, is something that is mind-boggling. I just can't understand it. I can't understand it. It looks like
Yeah,
Pandangam is back.
yeah, Pai is back. Now, if we, I'm going to get back to him, but fortunately, we have Barrister Ghana on the platform. You're welcome, Barrister Ghana. You're very much welcome. Now, if we all agree that whatever cohabitation or relationship that we had with La République du Cameroon was fraudulent, and a
That's
proposal
illegal.
by
Yeah.
them was illegal. The
No
process
treaty of
that led to
union.
it, the process that led to it was most probably fraudulent. So that illegal cohabitation or experiment, if we have that agreement and then we think it is arrogant, very disrespectful for Cameroon to even suggest a special status. I wouldn't really say, Professor Table, that the international community is not talking, because the international community is made up of entities like the non-governmental organization, which purporting themselves to work with military, with policy makers. And if they say they are working with policy makers and government officials, and they are suggesting or recommending to Yaoundé, there are chances that peradventure Cameroon has been talking with the researchers, because they also claim that they are researchers, they research about crisis, and that Cameroon has been talking with them. But their
I think
research has been partial.
the problem here, I don't mean to cut you. The problem here is those people don't understand what Cameroon is. They have no clue what La République du Cameroon is capable of. And they've not taken the time to study the root causes of this problem. And so they jump into it head first, and they're listening to what La République is saying. For lack of a better term, anybody who has 2 grains of brain in their head knows Cameroon is the best con artist that you can see on earth. That is a regime that is surviving on corruption, on manipulation, on lies. And so, if you really don't know La République, like most of these international organizations or humanitarian groups are, they will fall for that trap, because La République can write good reports. They can make anything look good on paper. And they say one thing and they do something else. And so that is the problem that I think this crisis group has entered into. Because if they go in and they're conducting sort of research and they are talking
Yeah.
to La République without talking to Amazonians, without crossing the Mongo to go to the war front, it means their ideas and data, it's all lopsided. They sit
Prof,
Or they
I
are
don't
somewhere
want
in
to
probably,
the
they
cut
are,
middle.
you
they are,
short,
or they have
Prof.
been proper, or they are probably
I
corrupt.
want to say that they did not even need to cross the Mongo and go to interview people to hear our own story. In the last 3 months or so, we have identified the root causes of our problem, the root cause of the war,
Mm-hmm.
and we took it to the scene of the root cause. We took the cause of the war that is now going on for about 6 years to the United Nations, where the root cause is. And we
Mm-hmm.
wrote about the war in Cameroon. This is a document we sent to the United Nations. It is titled The War in Cameroon and the United Nations. And we have told the United Nations why the United Nations bears the brunt of the war in Cameroon, why it is they are the root cause. We have told the United Nations about the non-decolonization of the United Nations. And we have told the United Nations how we were a trust
Of Southern
territory,
Cameroon, yeah.
how Southern Cameroon
But
was a
I'm going
trust
to bring it up to
territory.
you. But I
Excuse
would,
me,
but
excuse me. If you cut me short, I will not
Let,
know how to. I want to
okay,
talk about.
let Pa finish, wrap up
Let
so
me
that
land.
we can.
We have
Yes.
told the United Nations how this matter, they are the source, the root cause. And we have shown how if they had decolonized British Southern Cameroons, this war would not have been. And we have shown that
Mm-hmm.
it is a political matter and it is a human rights matter. And in writing to the United Nations, we have copied the key human rights organization. And those key human rights organizations that have been copied, if I can read it from here, are one, the Amnesty International, International Human Rights Watch, and the organization we are talking about, that is the international what
Crisis group.
crisis group.
International crisis group.
This document is with them. They know that where the cause of the war is and why it is an international, it is a United Nations matter, why it is a human rights matter. They have received about 4 of these documents in the last 3 months, the human rights. So they know the story and what we have proposed to the United Nations as the solution. They could have supported one of those options. We have proposed a 3-pronged solutions to the United Nations, 3-pronged solutions. And those,
Yes, please.
if they had supported one.
Pandangam, we will come to the solution, but we need to first of all process sufficiently the spirit behind this whole recommendation to La Republique du Cameroon. Barrister Ghana, I'm coming to you. Thank you for making out time amidst your busy schedule. Do you think?
Okay, well, I missed a lot.
The historicity and legality of. Do you think, from the historicity and legality of our movement and the sufficient document that has been exposed to the international community and stakeholders like Pa Augustine Dangam is saying, do you think this ICJ or international crisis group should be pardoned for even vocalizing or documenting such a recommendation?
They have taken sides. If you read the document you sent to us last night, right from the very first paragraph, they say that we should give the special status a special consideration. That is in the 3rd paragraph.
Yes, that is very clear.
A second thought. And what we are saying here is that we did not even give it a first thought. We did not give that a first thought. We don't think that the special status, that the Republic of Cameroon has any status, any legal status to be giving us special status. Before the plebiscite in southern Cameroon, we went into an agreement. The plebiscite was based on an agreement that we're joining them, or we were making a political association with them based on state of equal status. That was the agreement. So at what point did La République assume the status of telling Southern Cameroons what it should be? How did it become the instructor? At what point? Just the point. Let us know what legally gave them the authority, gave them the status to be telling us and not talking with us, but talking to us. If international
yes, Barrister Ghana, please.
If you can answer that question, then we can talk. And then we on our part, we should be open-minded. We started this struggle by saying that we took the motto of the our motto for this struggle is that the argument of the force of argument, not the argument of force. So we will talk. If we're talking with La République, we'll talk. But we will know at what point they become dictating to us. No, we have our own opinion too. And
let's hear one.
Correct. Pa Augustine Danga, much respect to you and more respect to both Professor Bridget Tebo and Barrister Funso. Very, very powerful pillars in this struggle. Paddy, I'm going to sort of jump into this conversation by asking you a question. Can you remove $1 million in your coat pocket and give it to me right now? I really need $1 million to do something. Can you reach into your coat pocket and remove $1 million and give it to me?
Even if I'm worth that, the laws that the United States and they're putting for money laundering, that is not possible. We'll have to consult the bank, give a reason for it. If the source of that income will be verified by the bank before it is even made. So
correct. But the key word the key phrase that you uttered there is that if I had it.
Exactly. You can't give what you don't have.
you cannot give what you don't have.
Yeah.
And so the International Crisis Group is talking about giving Ambazonia or giving the SY or having French Cameroon give Ambazonia, or having whatever construct they have, give Ambazonia special status. The problem is they don't have a special status to give us. Just like I asked you to remove $1 million from your coat pocket and give to me, the reason why you cannot do that is because you don't have $1 million. So the whole debate about the special status is DOA, dead on arrival, because it is a smoke screen. It is fake. I mean, if you go through that document, they talk about 1995, they talk about the Bilingualism Commission, they talk about root causes for the Anglophone disaffection in French Cameroon. The truth is that they don't even have the legitimacy, the authority, or the way without even give us a special status. We are two entities in international law of equal status. We don't have the right, the legitimacy, or the foundation to give French Cameroon a special status. Neither do they have any foundation to give Ambazonia or the erstwhile British Southern Cameroons a special status. I don't hear the International Crisis Group asking Russia to give Ukraine a special status. I hear the way saying, arm Ukraine so that Ukraine can defeat Russia in Ukraine and reaffirm its sovereignty. So talking about them giving us a special status is a fraud and an insult to us as a sovereign people, as mandated in UN Resolution 1514 and UN Resolution 1608. As Pandangam rightfully said, this problem is a problem of a failed decolonization and is going to be addressed as such. And that whole write-up about a special status going through root causes, identifying this and that, patati patata, blah, 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 is probably a document written by La Republique and handed to the International Crisis Group for them to massage it, tweak it, flip it, however they want, and regurgitate it as some proposal coming from the International Crisis Group. I did not hear the international community asking South Africa to give Namibia a special status, because South Africa did not have the legitimacy to give Namibia a special status. Namibia was an independent entity coming out of the Treaty of Versailles, just like the erstwhile British Cameroon was an independent and sovereign entity coming out of the Treaty of Versailles. So we need to not even debate the merits or demerits of the special status, because neither France, nor French Cameroon, nor the International Crisis Group, nor any other authority has the power to give Ambazonia a special status as a part of La République du Cameroun. So it is what they call a piece of sublime mysticism, a loud sounding nothing.
Now, before you came, I want to put you on a note. Barrister Fu argued, I'm getting back to Barrister Fu in a few minutes, but I'd like you to just chip on this before we get to Barrister Fu. Barrister Fu had a strong argument. Barrister Fu is clear. You are all quoting things. Barrister Fu says that we have never even been a part of La République du Cameroon, and that there was actually no union. That is his argument. Do you want to comment on that historically and quickly, so we can move on to the next phase of our discussion tonight?
Correct. You can want to bamboozle yourself, fool yourself, massage yourself, argue yourself to thinking that we have never been part of French Cameroon. The truth is, we have never been part of French Cameroon. Barrister Fu is a lawyer. And as a lawyer, he abundantly understands that when they list the elements of a contract between two people or between two entities, and you don't meet the elements of that contract, there is no contract. It is null and void. It is not only that it is voidable, it is void because the elements of that contract have not been met. And the international community knows that. And France knows that. And French Cameroon knows that. And so what they have been trying to do is that they've been trying to have us as a people to ratify the absence of a contract. When you hear all of these things, spatial status, bilingualism commission, CDN, they are just trying to get us to lower down our guards and ratify the absence of a contract and lull ourselves to sleep. We have never been part of French Cameroon. It is clear in bold letters in UN Resolution 1608. Read paragraph 5. It says the administering authority and the governing authority and French Cameroon have to sit down and work out the modalities of a union. That has never happened. There is no way you can paper over that. Taking us, capturing us and taking us into a centralized government and decapitating the government of the Southern Cameroons and dissolving the Southern Cameroons parliament and overthrowing Gombo Bejua and having a fake referendum in 1972 where the choices at the ballot box were between we and yes, does not in any way or form give French Cameroon or France the legal mandate over the Southern Cameroons. So we have been an annexed people, as Barrister Fru rightfully said. We have been a people who were recolonized in September of 1961. So we have never been part of French Cameroon. The sovereign people of the Southern Cameroons have never ceded by will of their authority, by the instruments of UN Resolution 1608 and 1514 to becoming part of French Cameroon. And we have resisted. Read A Prisoner Without a Crime by Albert Mukong. He details it. They killed our people, they jailed our people, they tortured our people, they cajoled our people, and our people did not have a voice to even speak. So let's not even talk about them giving us a special status. We have never been part of them. We are an independent people that were recolonized.
Good.
Okay, may
I
I
think
say
you have just
something to
supported
that?
a point. You have supported a point there. Daddy, I'll get to you, but maybe I should coordinate it in such a way Barrister Fru can speak. I'll get to you and you'll probably react to that. Barrister Fru, you made mention of an aspect that we can only make a determination on the way forward if we have a discussion. Do you want to highlight a little bit on that based on government position? And then we'll get to Pa and Professor Bridget so we can get to the next phase, please.
What I said is that La République du Cameroon should come to the table and make its proposal.
Yeah.
The La République du Cameroon cannot go around the world bribing groups, bribing all kinds of so-called intellectual groups, because I read that the International Crisis Group was made out of intellectuals. My foot. If they were intellectuals, they should have done some research about the Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroon. They should have done a detailed research to find out whether La République du Cameroon, Southern Cameroon was part of La République du Cameroon before you propose your reformed special status.
We can rightfully say they are a bad doctor to treat the illness because they're a doctor that has not even done a test, laboratory
they
test.
have not even done. Look, I don't know who are those in the International Crisis Group. We're hearing that they are a group of intellectual researchers and all that bullshit. If they did any research, they would have known that the Southern Cameroon was never part of La République du Cameroon. They would have known that the Southern Cameroon was not properly decolonized, and then on the 30th of September, La République du Cameroon invaded southern Cameroon, and the flag, the British flag, the Union Jack was handed to Ahijo rather than to Poncha. Meaning that they took our independence and gave La République du Cameroon. By fact, not by law anyway, not by resolution 1608. Look, on the crux of the matter, resolution 1608 remains the charging document for this crisis. La République du Cameroon had every right not to execute a resolution 1608. Why did they come into southern Cameroon in September? And why did they impose on southern Cameroon a constitution that was voted by their country on the 1st of September? Retroactively apply it to southern Cameroon. They were not. They had every right not to execute resolution 1608, and that would have kept us where we are, and we would have had our independence that was already voted for by the United Nations. The fact that you refuse to execute a certain resolution because you didn't vote for it, it's a given. You can refuse that, but you will not ask the whole United Nations to accept your vote, your one vote that you voted no, or the 2 votes that you and France voted no, or the 23 votes that were voted against. But what I'm saying is, look, Paddy, this thing should end on the negotiating table, or countries around the world recognize us. Those are the only 2 alternatives we have. This special status indicates that we are part of La République du Cameroon. Therefore, we should accept some special status to stay in the union. They even put the ministries, Ministry of Decentralization, Ministry of this, Ministry of that, 13%, 39%. All that is bullshit. Because these people did not do any work. They call themselves International Crisis Group and a group of intellectuals. They have been bribed and paid to do this research for us. We are fighting that for and we'll continue to fight them till they leave our territory.
Yes, thank you very much for that, for enforcing on that. And I think as a way forward, this discussion, Pa, I'm coming to you. You're a scholar, a historian, a writer, in fact, an author. You have a couple of books. I'm currently researching on one of your books, and you have just presented a document here that is of great interest to me and maybe to Amazonians as well. Based on our historicity and legality as a people, Pa Augustine Dangam, I'm asking you now, what will be, okay, we say no to special status. What will be our stance as a people from your scholarly understanding, please? If you would make a suggestion, yeah.
Thank you. Before I answer that question, I want to go back to Barrister Fru's point and say that what he is saying is a fact and is making a point that should be emphasized. But before then, we should distinguish between a situation that is de facto and a situation that is de jure. The international community, the world sees us as part of the Republic of Cameroon. That's the de facto situation. But if we come to law, if we want to go to law, we go back to the point that Barrister Fru is making. And it goes back to what I was trying to say earlier. At what point did our relationship with the Republic of Cameroon change from being to a federation of 2 states or joining them as equal states to they are taking the position to rule us, to govern us? At what point? if we can get the point, they have a question to answer. They are the ones to answer. They are the ones to show the world that they have an instrument, a treaty of union or some legal instrument which give them that authority they are exercising or telling us, claiming to tell us what status we should be, claiming to change to the federation that they said was a Federal Republic of Cameroon to a unitary state. And they decide either by the authority of that legal instrument they have, or a treaty of union or something. It cannot be for nothing, because we know that we came as international territories from the same source, from the League of Nations. It was the League of Nations that gave birth to French Cameroon, that gave birth to British Cameroons. So at what point are they saying that it is because of the plebiscite that we voted? It cannot be that, because they themselves voted against that plebiscite. They voted no, and their no vote in that plebiscite meant they did not give consent for us to join to join them. And the United Nations on its part could not force us on them. Otherwise, they'll be violating Article 2.7 of the Charter. So this is why we wrote to the United Nations. The United Nations pulled out of Southern Cameroons after adopting Resolution 1608 and left those two UN trust territories.
No, go ahead.
Am I
Go
being
ahead,
heard?
Yeah, you're being heard. Go ahead.
Left these two United Nations trust territories talking at wavelengths, that is, speaking at different wavelengths. The British Southern Cameroon's choice of the Republic of Cameroon in the United Nations plebiscite was based on a mutual agreement on federation or federalism of a state of states of equal status. It was based on that agreement. And so the state of Cameroon position is that it was based on Resolution 1541, Principle 7. 1541, Principle 7. But the Republic of Cameroon's policy and political argument, is that in democracy is a rule of the majority. And because the population of the British Cameroons is 1/4, 25% of that of theirs, French Cameroon, British Cameroon should be assimilated or integrated into a one and indivisible Cameroon. That is their argument, that is their policy, that is where they stand. But the United Nations is involved here because they quote the same Resolution 1541. Instead of Principle 7, which Southern Cameroon is quoting, they quote Principles 6E and Principle 8 and Principle 9. These three. So their argument is based on the same UN Resolution 1541, Principle 6E, Principle 8, and Principle 9. Now, this is where the United Nations came in. You left the people talking on different wavelengths, two trust territories. You say you joined them, but you left them arguing, quoting the same United Nations resolution, different articles of it. But the United Nations too, there is an answer for the United Nations. This is what we're trying to point out to the United Nations. Because in 1608 Resolution 1608, paragraph 5, the United Nations gave directives, appointed a committee, made up an international committee, and gave them an assignment, a clear assignment, the terms of reference from paragraph 5 to the tripartite committee was go into the policies of these two UN trust territories, what they have agreed on as policies, and work out work out how they join together, work out the agreement before that date of 1st October that they are supposed to join, come up with some agreement that they have agreed jointly, and let us get the solution. But that is the committee where Britain was involved, Republic of Cameroon was involved, the government of Southern Cameroon was involved. That
The United Nations.
That particular assignment has never been taken up. If it has been taken up, we have no report from that committee. It is published nowhere. They reported to nobody. They just took the thing and set aside, and the Republic of Cameroon summoned its own meeting in Fumban, Constitutional Conference. That was sidelining a clear assignment by the General Assembly of the United
States. In Fumban was, I think, 11 years later. That's 1972.
Pardon?
The meeting.
Yes, what I'm telling you, Paddy, and I'm telling all the Southern Cameroonians is that the Fumban Conference is not a substitute for the decolonization process and the assignment of the General Assembly in paragraph 5 of Resolution 1608. It's not a substitute.
Correct.
Okay? So the United Nations gave its assignment. The thing that should be done for decolonizing Southern Cameroons. That is Resolution 1608, paragraph 5. That assignment was not carried out. The people involved, the key people involved, instead, La République summoned a conference in Fumban. That conference in Fumban is unauthorized. It's not something authorized by the United Nations. The United Nations' own assignment is there in paragraph 5. And it ought not to be brushed aside and another conference held in Fumban to come up with a constitution or whatever it came up with. Fumban is unauthorized. It derailed the work of the UN in the progress the UN was making and expecting a report before 1st October. There was no report before 1st October. And that conference in Fumban cannot be a substitute for what is in paragraph 5. This is what I'm saying. And so, what the international group is coming up with, people giving us status group, is supporting the fact that it should be the Republic of Cameroon speaking to us. No, absolutely no, out of the question. Yes.
Okay, considering you want to make a reaction, Barrister Fru, please.
One reaction only.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I call all this an international conspiracy, starting from 1961, when they killed the then Secretary General of the United Nations. The Secretary General visited Buea on his way to the Congo and died in a plane crash in the Congo. I want to argue that that was not an accident, because he had the intention of coming back to reopen the decolonization of the Southern Cameroons. And he made it clear in Buea that he was coming back and this issue would be revisited. Why? When he died, the issue died. The United Nations did not execute Resolution 1608. The UK did not, and the French worked very well with their own partners to reconquer us and to recolonize us. And that is why they came in the night of the 30th of September and took over militarily. That is the argument. That is fact, not even argument. It's a fact.
So it's a belligerent.
Let me add to that point.
And come back to New York. This decolonization process would have been reopened, because he has a function to do that. And he made it clear in Buea when he came through Buea, because he foresaw problems. And they killed him. I call this international conspiracy. The international crisis group is making its own money through this conspiracy. Just like Britain is sitting quiet because of what they did. They are ashamed of themselves. That's why they are not talking. And we have one liberator. One liberator. If the United States respects its vote of 1608, they will deliver us from all this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
what
we are
the barrister is saying,
we
I'd
are
like to
suffering
add.
from a belligerent occupation right now. Pa, please go ahead. I would like to
Yes,
come to Professor
the
Tebo
point
right
that
after you.
barrister has brought up is very important. And I wanted to give just the reaction of the British. It is true that after the British recommended this plebiscite for the United Nations to come and organize a plebiscite in British Southern Cameroons, it was wrong for the United Nations to accept to come to organize a plebiscite in a territory, a United Nations trust territory that was already self-governing. It was a mistake, and there's no way the United Nations can refuse that. The Charter of the United Nations says in Article 76b that the goal of the international trusteeship system is one of two things. It is
Yeah.
to bring self-government to the particular international territories, either self-government or independence. So any one of them is as good as the other.
Uh-huh.
Now, by constitutional development in Nigeria, Southern Cameroons by 1961 was self-governing. So either it was self-governing or independent, one or the other is as good as the other one. So it was a mistake, catastrophic mistake, for the United Nations to accept to come and organize a referendum on independence in a territory that was self-governing. It was duplicity. It was a mistake. Let's just put it simple like that. After the United Nations took that decision to do so, it was after they took the decision to do so that the Secretariat studied and saw that it was a mistake. And to the glorious memory of the Secretary General at the time, Dag Hammarskjöld, he decided to come out boldly and tell the British that this was a mistake. You recommended us to we've made a mistake. So he flew to Buea instead of going straight to the Congo where he was going. He flew to Buea to see the British administration, purposely to see the British administration. And he told them that although the United Nations has taken this decision, he thinks that that mistake can still be corrected. And that instead of doing a plebiscite to block the people from getting their independence, either we don't do that plebiscite at all, or we can still do that plebiscite, but we should word the questions of the plebiscite in such a way that it gives them opportunity to choose to be independent. It should not be to block them from getting their independence. He made this very clear to the British
And
administration.
it is this opportunity to choose that has a split in the so-called Southern Cameroon community, and which is where I feel we should move into the next phase of our discussion. Professor Tebo, please.
No, I did not land. I did not, Paddy, I did not land. Just give me to land.
Yes.
Okay,
So
please.
he told the British to this. The important thing that we should note here is that when he left and told the British that on his return to New York, he was going to summon a meeting to review that plebiscite thing. And either they will reword the question so that the people actually get their independence, or he told the British this, that's what he was planning to do on return to New York. But we should take note of what the British said immediately he left. The British administration in Buea wrote home to say that that idea that Dag Hammarskjöld gave, they threw cold water on it. These are the words in the British declassified file. We threw cold water on it. Now, it shows that the British were against what the Dag Hammarskjöld had said, and they were not going to take it. And that is why they pushed still to give us a plebiscite, wrongful plebiscite in a territory that was already self-governing, and that the questions of the plebiscite was conditional independence. Conditional. Do you want independence by joining this, or by it? It is conditional independence, which is not there in the Charter of the United Nations. That's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Table. We're having a split in opinion when it comes to the way forward. Okay, if we have to present to the international community, you heard Barrister through John So saying that we need to get to the table and let La Republic meet us. But there are other schools of thought that perhaps, and the argument to support that other school of thought um, is Southern Cameroonians have got to make a decision for their future themselves, and therefore they're calling for an internationally supervised referendum. What do you have to say in that regard, Professor Tebo?
No, no way.
Mm.
No way.
The short answer is that we cannot stand for any referendum, given the history of what we've seen. In fact, we keep going back to legality and historicity. Any kind of referendum that is being requested of our people on the ground cannot be a fair referendum because they will be manipulated as always. In fact, to follow up on what Pandangam just said, we have in September of that 1961, the British High Commissioner of Southern Cameroon, Sir James Robertson, was in Boya to bid farewell to the people of Southern Cameroon, following what was just narrated on behalf of Her Majesty's government. Robertson was also the Governor General of Nigeria, and he was speaking in his capacity as High Commissioner and Governor. In fact, it's so telling because in those archives, in the Public Records Office or National Archives in England, we have 7 words that Robertson used that are now part of the tools used to assess and judge British administration of Southern Cameroon during that 40-year rule. Robertson spoke at 10 a.m. on September 13th. And the 7 words were, and it's a direct quote, "There can be no justification for injustice. There can be no justification for injustice," which means they all knew what had transpired. They knew that Her Majesty the Queen had given up on Southern Cameroon or has dashed France. In the French archives and Aix-en-Provence or Bibliothèque de France, you have in their archives un petit cadeau de la reine, a little gift from Her Majesty the Queen. That is how they perceived British Southern Cameroons. That is how they cared for us. And so this demonstrates how the people of Southern Cameroons, a UN trust territory, became victims of a failed decolonization process and how their country was annexed and recolonized. And so today to be talking about a referendum, when we know that the referendum that already took place in the past, it's all fake. If you look at the plebiscite, you look at the 1972 vote to decide whether we're moving from that de facto federation to a united Republic of Cameroon. And then shortly after that, even with the failed circumstances, dubious circumstances, where both West Cameroon and East Cameroon were called to vote, knowing that we were probably 1/3 of the population. So even if everybody came out to do that fake vote of we and yes, there was no way to win. And so that it reminds me, I keep bringing this up. In the case of Brexit, when Britain was angry and upset at the European Union and they decided to exit, did they call on France and Germany and everybody else to vote? No. Only the British had to vote for them to exit because it concerned them. In this case, they brought everybody to vote for unity. And that was not even enough. Talk about the adage, what's in a name? Shortly after that, you have the name change. It went from that United Republic to La République du Cameroun, bringing us full cycle. And so that just shows the level of manipulation and waste of time that La République is so good at. So thinking that we're going to be looking at, referendum is not going to work. What we are putting out there now is not only that restoration of our independence that we already have, but is recognition. That is it. We want to be recognized as the independent nation that we are. So no referendum will solve the problem for us. It is uncalled for. We have people, the late Cardinal Tumi, God bless his soul, had said that a survey that they conducted in La République du Cameroun as an attempt to continue to manipulate Southern Cameroonians as usual. They asked the population, do you want a federation or do you want decentralization? Those were the two things on that fake ballot, federation or decentralization. And Cardinal Tumi said, even though separation was not on the ballot, 69% of the population chose outright separation. And he says that tells you exactly how people feel about this whole issue. Something that was not on the ballot, that is what everybody decided to choose. So talking about a referendum now, it doesn't work. It's like having a bad marriage and insisting on dying in the name of one Cameroon. It won't work because all this noise is about getting people or getting British Southern Cameroonians to succumb to one and indivisible Cameroon. It's not going to happen. After all the
it's like getting involved with the Bad Jumba. I'm getting to you, Pa Augustine Dangam. It's like getting involved into a bad Jumba and insisting to legalize it in court or getting into court for the judge to determine the people choosing to pass their ways. It is clear now on this platform. I'm coming to you, Barrister Ghana, please. It is clear. I want to, when you're serving food to people, you always want to give. You're pulling the appetite so that you give them. The best is always good for the last. If people take it, a good wine from the beginning and everybody's drunk, and it's not good. I know the audience are waiting for something. Barrister Afru is in total agreement with Professor Table on this issue. But I'd like you to be patient, Barrister Ghana. Let's hear from Pa Augustine.
No, that's not. There's a little
you are in agreement with Professor Table that there is no referendum.
No. There's a little correction there. There's a little correction there. I want Professor Table to make a distinction between a plebiscite and a referendum.
No, she did.
It's not that we're accepting any of them. It's not that we're accepting any of them.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
We're not accepting any of them. Yes. We are saying, I agree with her. We are saying that a referendum presupposes that we are part and parcel of La République Cameroun, and we need to answer a question whether we are leaving or we are staying or we are doing this and that. We are not part of La République Cameroun to accept the referendum.
Yeah. So before I get to Barrister Ghana, I want to come to Pa.
We've never been part of
it. Before I get to Pandangam holds the position that our people, according to Pandangam, our people have not yet decided. But fortunately, Professor Table just proved to us that our people have already taken a position. And are they supposed to even take a position before they get their independence that is due? Pandangam, please, you have to explain to us, why do you hold the opinion of a referendum? Then we'll get a reaction from Barrister Ghana thereafter.
Thank you, Paddy. I support the fact and propose and will work for a referendum for the
What?
people of Southern Cameroons. The English words mean a thing. All words mean a thing. You make a sentence, it means a thing. All what the professor has said is an argument for a referendum. What she has said is not against referendum. If I can explain what I mean by referendum. When I say I will work for a referendum, I will support a referendum for the people of Southern Cameroons. I am saying that up to this point in our history, the people of Southern Cameroons have been told, whether by the British, by the French, or by the Republic of Cameroon, they have been told. They have been told that you are not British Southern Cameroons, you are Northern Cameroon, a part of Nigeria, Southern Cameroon, a part of Nigeria, which was not our decision. It was not the sovereign decision of the people of Southern Cameroons. That continued. The British argued that we were too small, too poor to become a sovereign country. We have been told that it was not the sovereign decision of the people of Southern Cameroons. But they said it and they went away because they were the colonial masters. And because we are in an extended colonialism, La République assumes the right to be telling us, instead of us as a sovereign people deciding for ourselves. No. All the argument that Prof has given and the lawyer, barrister is giving is in support of a referendum. Man, let us get what I mean by a referendum. What I mean by a referendum for the people of Southern Cameroons is just the right of the people of Southern Cameroons themselves to decide about their future, whether their future should be a sovereign, independent country, their future should be federation with the Republic of Cameroon, or their future should be an integrated part of the Republic of Cameroon. It should be the people of Southern Cameroon themselves, all of them, to decide. Not a committee to go and sit down and negotiate. You don't know their negotiating skills, or you don't know whether those sitting down there representing you as a SCAPO or as interim government or what will be bribed, and they will accept the bribe and not say what you want. It should be the people themselves, all the people to say about their future, right from the word go. Anything that concerned British Cameroon should have been decided by the people themselves. It should have been decided by the British Cameroonians, all of them themselves. That is the sovereignty. That is what we mean by sovereignty. The right of the people to speak for themselves. This is what I'm talking about.
In that case, that has been. In that case, that has already been done. Is that not what Cardinal Tumi's commission?
Professor Tebo, please come.
That is what Cardinal Tumi's commission did already. We have a result. So why do we need another one?
Cardinal Tumi, let me take Cardinal Tumi. I'll come to the point one by one.
All right, time out.
Let me react in one sentence. Let me react in one sentence.
But please, you're going to do this reaction. Just give a minute. Let you have just about a minute or two, so that we can get a reaction to that. This is a very important.
Okay, let me just touch on the point.
I want you to know. I'm following a comment now. Just a moment. I'm following
research on 1,000 people.
Forget Cardinal.
No, just a moment. Just a moment. One of our viewers is actually saying, why do we even go for a referendum if we are not even part of La République du Cameroun? I want you to finish within the next 2 weeks, so we can get reactions from the other panelists, please.
Yes. The referendum we are talking is not a referendum to be conducted by the Republic of Cameroon. This is how the United Nations has solved similar problems to our own that is annexation problems in different parts of the world. We are not the first to be asking the United Nations to come and ask the people of Southern Cameroons in their sovereign right to decide their future. We are not the first.
Mm.
They asked when Indonesia annexed East Timor, United Nations went there to conduct a referendum. It was not East Timor that it was
That
not
is that
the
is
people of
that
Indonesia
is
who conducted
Barrister
The,
Fupi
the,
will
Finland.
the,
get
the,
to you.
the, the,
Barrister
the
Fupi,
problem
let
is
me
the
get
United
Barrister
Nations went to East
Professor
Timor
Tebo.
quickly. They did not go 7 years
Professor
after.
Tebo
Excuse me,
will
let
get
me
to you.
land.
yes.
Yeah, go land,
It
please.
was not East Timorese who came to, it was not the Indonesian people who came to conduct a referendum in East Timor. It was not the person who had annexed them who conducted the referendum.
Mm.
It was the United Nations as an independent international body, objective to the people, the sovereign people of the Southern Cameroon. It's not the Republic of Cameroon coming to conduct that referendum. And in fact, if
Agreed.
that referendum is
Yes,
being conducted by the
your
United Nations,
major.
let me
I think
land.
your major
It
is
is
very
not
clear.
the United Nations, it is not the Republic of Cameroon coming into Southern Cameroon to conduct a referendum.
Paddy,
Yes,
Yes, we
okay,
said
Pa,
that.
your
It
major point
agreed.
very clear. Barrister Fu,
Yes.
please. I'm gonna give the mic for you people to make a comment, but I think I would like Barrister Mbesa to
no,
sorry,
Barrister
Barrister
Ghana.
Ghana to react to this and why we
But
are
I've not
waiting for
landed,
this.
I've not made the
I'm
point.
pleading, I'm pleading with our
They
viewers to give
understand
us.
they understand referendum that it is Republic of Cameroon coming to
Yes, Pa,
conduct
we've
it,
heard
or
the
that they will
point
You,
very
want to
you've,
do it.
clearly.
you've already
Yep,
explained now.
Uh,
You've already
you
said
you
that
have
it's not
explained
La
it
Republic.
extensively, and we will definitely, you will definitely talk again before we close. But I'm asking
Okay.
the viewers to give us only 1 minute, and Barrister Ghana will be back with his reaction to this.
Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook, ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768. www.abcambertv.com. Payment method:
Thank you for waiting and welcome back. We want to get to listen to Barrister Ghana, but maybe I should ask those who are watching us, if you have opted as a viewer or participant in this platform by any means not to be a club member or a subscriber of ABC Amber TV, then you are doing a disservice to the nation of Amazonia at this critical time of war. This platform is, at least, if not the best, the most instrumental weapon that we have to fight every gimmick of French Cameroon. You want to go down history as that person that is a part of it. Before the end of this program, it's very simple. Visit our website, become a club member. If you want to be a patron, do it. ABC needs you now. The people of Amazonia needs you now to keep this platform alive. This is the only thing that I know in the history of Southern Cameroons right now that we own at least by 100%. Thank you very much, Barrister Ghana. The floor is yours.
I mean, we have some very powerful speakers, powerful thinkers, powerful intellectuals who are articulating some very strong positions on this issue of a referendum. Um, like Pa Augustine Dangam said, the UN has resolved a lot of issues around the world based on or using the instrument of a referendum. And when we talk about a referendum of whether we want to stay as part of, whether we want to stay as part of some union, okay, with French Cameroon, or if we want to go a separate way, we've always looked at it from one side. We've always looked at it as a referendum in Ambazonia, in the erstwhile British Southern Cameroons, on if we want to become a union with part of French Cameroon. And I believe it's going to be well articulated that it's going to be a federal union. But the other flip side of the coin that we don't always look at, and that we should begin to articulate, is that if people are thinking about a referendum, okay, go and have your referendum. But you have to spell out what that federation is going to be like, as opposed to independence. That's one. And then two, the UN has to come in and take over the territory, because this problem, as Pa Augustine Dangam has rightfully said, lies at the feet of the UN. It was a problem of a failed decolonization, where the United Nations allowed a trustee to engage in self-dealing. We were not Britons to deal. We were a United Nations trust territory. So let's correct it from that angle. Let the UN come in and take over the territory. And let's have the UN run it for about 3 to 5 years, set up the structures, set up a constituent assembly, sensitize the people, and then after those 5 years, let's have a referendum. The third item is that we don't just want to have a referendum in the Southern Cameroons. We want French Cameroon to have a referendum as well, given what will be a constitutionally defined federation. If they want to become a constitutional federation with Ambazonia. So we are looking at it as just Ambazonia having a referendum, but we are two independent entities in international law. Why do we, Ambazonia, want to subjugate ourselves to a referendum when they are not having a referendum as well? Because it's going to be two independent entities coming together to form a federal union. So let's also have French Cameroon simultaneously.
No, I'd like to come in here.
No,
let him finish. Let him finish.
Yes, French Cameroon, because a referendum, what are you voting for? It's not just that we are voting to be part of them. Part of what? Part of a centralized government, part of a decentralized government, part of a federation. Why are we advocating for federation? They should be the ones fighting for a federation, not us. So let them also have their own simultaneous referendum if they want to join us as part of a constitutionally defined federation. If one side votes that they don't want to be part of that federal union, then we go our separate ways. So when we are thinking about this thing of a referendum, let's not be constricted or be resigned to having a referendum only in the Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonia. Let French Cameroon, that was a trust territory, equal in status to the Southern Cameroons, also have a referendum if they want to belong to a federation. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, can I react now? Please, Vice Fru, a moment, please.
Yes, you can react.
Vice Fru, go right ahead.
Okay, I will start with Pandangam. Pandangam, you are wrong to say that we are in the same situation like East Timor. East Timor was part of Indonesia from the word go when Indonesia had independence. But there were a people. No, hold on, Pa, hold on. There were a people who had independence together. There were already a people under Indonesia. They had independence, but they didn't want to stay with Indonesia because they were a people and they had a right to self-determination. The difference with us is that we were already independent when the United Nations voted for our independence in the 21st of April 1961. Of 1961. And you are saying that if you accept a referendum, you are in effect dictating or setting aside Resolution 1608 Padangam. Otherwise, you are an independent country. Why do you need to have a referendum in another country or under another country, even though it is supervised by the United Nations?
You are contradicting yourself, Barrister. You are contradicting your position.
The fact that you're not listening to me. We accept referendum, but accepting the fact that
you just contradicted yourself. You say we have never joined those people, and I agreed with you. Now you are saying that we are part of that people. And
no,
Barrister Ghana is saying that when we have our own, will they have their own, or they should have their own? We are contradicting ourselves too much.
No, it's not the same thing, Pa. It's not the same thing.
Let me finish. I am saying that we were never part of La République du Cameroon. We were an independent country as voted on the 21st of April 1961, and we were supposed to have joined La République du Cameroon as an independent country, which was not the case with East Timor. I have studied
East Timor aside. Take Sudan.
I have books. Even Sudan, Sudan was a part of South Sudan was part of Sudan. But as a people, they fought so hard, and they were able to have a referendum for themselves to get out of Sudan. We were never part of La République du Cameroon. We were never part of La République du Cameroon. We had independence before joining them. What you are saying is that if you want to take a referendum, you are in fact setting aside the vote on the 21st of April 1961. Pandanga, you better get that.
No, I'm not.
You see,
if you are not, in law, look at the definition of referendum. It's only a referendum is done in a country that is one, and that has been won. That's the legal definition of referendum. On the 11th of February, the United Nations did not talk of referendum. They talked of a plebiscite. They talked of a plebiscite because it is different from a referendum.
But you made your point very clear. And
no, I'm not through. I'm not landed.
Yeah.
I go to
land.
what my dear colleague has said. What my dear colleague is actually saying is that we cannot take the risk of having two referendums, and if the Republic vote that they want the federation with us, we will go back to square one. That is what he's saying, and his analysis is 100% correct. We do not have to accept a referendum because it will be risky for us. We will be setting aside Resolution 1608. I'm talking now like a lawyer. You set that aside because the definition of referendum presupposes that you are one country. Bandangam.
You are arguing for a referendum.
I'm coming back to you, Pa. I'll come back to you so that we coordinate it. It's an intellectual exercise. And it's important because this platform is actually, we're using this platform to speak to the international community, the opinion of Amazonia, and to make them understand that just another generation that they will write over. This is something I picked from the discussion. If you get Pa Augustine Dangam's argument, I think he's suggesting a very strange way for the people to have their independence after life. Pa is saying that, okay, we should sit among ourselves and decide our future via a referendum, decide how we want to be as an independent people, whether we want to join or not to join, or to have a federation or to whatever. That's what Pa is suggesting with his concept of referendum. But this is kind of strange, Professor Timo. You've been a history professor for more than a decade, and you're lecturing in one of the most renowned universities in the world. You specialize also in researching on the legality and historicity of this matter. What are the intricacies involved if at any given point we find ourselves in some sort of referendum? Please talk to us, Professor Table.
Okay. Thank you so much for putting so much on my shoulder. I know I have able colleagues here on the panel. But if for some reason we end up with a referendum, I will hope that what Barrister Ghana said should be taken into consideration, so that that referendum is not just about Ambazonians or British Southern Cameroonians voting to either join La République again or, stay on their own. It should be something that the two independent states as of 1960 will have to do for themselves. So while we are having a referendum in British Southern Cameroon or Ambazonia to decide our fate, La République and the Francophones should be having the exact same referendum to decide whether they want to join us or not. So that it's not about us joining to make one an indivisible Cameroon. That is not the issue. We stand for independence. That is guaranteed. What do they stand for? Do they stand for independence also in La République? Or do they stand for federation? Or they want to incorporate us into their union so that they have their one
Are
and
they, are they,
indivisible
even,
Cameroon?
are they even independent? Are they even independent? That I
I'm
want
not
to
even.
appreciate
I'm not even going to go there, because I would argue that they've never been independent.
Yeah, go ahead.
As much as they've been given a status of independence, I will argue that Francophone Cameroon has never been independent, just like the rest of the Francophone countries in Africa. They're stooges to France, and that is why they can't do anything for themselves. And they're looking to get Southern Cameroons to continue to serve them, to continue to feed them, to continue to allow them the resources that they can loot and steal. And so that referendum that we're calling for, I do not even see it happening. We can't be doing
And I
any
do not
referendum.
support. Legally, it's
And
uncalled for.
it's
Legally, it's
uncalled for.
uncalled for.
That is true. That is true.
Okay, thank you very much.
I know Pandangam is using his English words very, very carefully and very cunningly to say that this is because we want to give the platform
Paddy,
for
can I
our
speak
people
now?
to decide
Oh,
and do this
Yeah,
and do that.
before you speak, we're opening the phone lines now for Ambazonians to react to this. It's important that
but
we
I did
get
not
to hear
land. I did
Ambazonians
not land. No,
actually
just
react.
inside here. Let me land.
Yes,
Okay, land,
Pandangam
please.
needs to land before you open the lines.
No,
Pa
but
line.
you are
Please
taking your
just land.
position up.
I'm
Your
saying that
position is
even
on
at this
referendum.
level here, we don't seem to understand what we are talking about.
We understand very
We don't seem
carefully.
to
We
have grasped
understand
what
very
we
well.
are talking about. Let me go over what I'm saying.
We do
What I mean
understand
by
that,
a
but
referendum.
we do understand.
Let me just go over what I mean.
You already explained
So
now.
I
We're
don't
running out of time.
misinterpret.
So let's give
What
Pa
I
a
am
few
saying
minutes.
is,
Pa has 90 seconds to react.
excuse me, please. Let me just
Yeah, go
land
ahead.
within what
Yeah, go ahead, Pa.
I've heard here.
Okay, all
We're
right.
saying we're supporting so many things which are confused in our minds. Let me
No.
just make myself straight. I say I support the right of the people of British Southern Cameroons. We also call it Amazonia. Their right to be the people to decide about their future themselves. So, if a person who is a Southern Cameroonian holds the view that he wants to be part of the Republic of Cameroon, fine, that is his view. You, as a Southern Cameroonian, should not tell him he has no right to hold that view.
Agreed.
If a Southern Cameroonian, excuse me, don't interrupt me now. I want to learn. Just give me the chance.
Lana,
If a
I'm
Southern
agreeing with you.
Cameroonian,
Okay.
if a Southern Cameroonian himself says he wants to be sovereign and independent country, ruling himself, he is right. Don't attack him. Give him the right. He has the right to say so. If a
what about the
Southern
Martha
Cameroonian
conference,
born
ma?
in
What
Southern
about the Martha
Cameroonian,
conference? What about the Martha conference? You are putting it aside?
can I speak and learn?
No, not Palan. Let's allow Pa to learn, please.
You're taking long to
If a
learn.
Southern Cameroonian
Yes,
holds the
Palan.
view that he likes us, a Southern Cameroonian, he likes us to be integrated with the Republic of Cameroon as one and indivisible Cameroon,
You have
fine,
already
that
said
is
that.
his own view. Leave him. It should not be the Republic of Cameroon to come and tell us. It should not be the international community to come and tell us. It should not be Britain. It should not be France to tell us. Let us Southern Cameroonians decide between all these shades of opinion inside Southern Cameroon. We have no right to say that because the United Nations is coming to conduct, as a neutral body, is coming to conduct a referendum in Southern Cameroonian with the shades of opinion with Southern Cameroonian. Another referendum should be conducted in the Republic of Cameroon. What right have you to saying they should conduct their own too? What for? What is that relationship? This is where I said Barrister was contradicting himself, because Barrister said we have never joined these people at all, and I supported it, and I stand by that. We have never joined them. What should we should be talking is what the shades of opinion inside Southern Cameroonian are, and who should be the neutral person who should find out who is the majority in that opinion. If they come and conduct, United Nations comes and conducts a referendum inside Southern Cameroon for Southern Cameroonians, some of you are saying you want to be free.
Pa, you have repeatedly, and it would appear that you're doing a cycle of it. I'm sorry if I have to interrupt this.
Well, the shades of
want to
opinion
further with
inside
that.
Southern
And
Cameroonian,
what of Ambazonians already calling
if
now?
the United Nations comes,
Their opinion.
You've said that so many times. Let's get the callers.
all right, what
Maybe
I'm
to
saying, I was
contest
trying
what
to
you
answer
said.
Barrister's point. Barrister said
No,
at
you
the same
already
time,
answered.
they should conduct another one over there. I'm saying no, we have no right to go and say
Yes, you
United
have
Nations
already
also
said
do this.
something in that relation.
Okay.
So
We
what
have
I'm
no right to say, okay,
yes, I agree with
somebody also mentioned,
No.
somebody also mentioned the need.
No, but for a moment, please. We have heard that point that he's making. But this is the point. Nigeria, this is the point we are making. Nigeria, that was no UN trusteeship territory had a referendum for their independence to be actualized. So, on that very basic understanding, the proposal Augustine Dangam is making is strange. That is the point. No UN trusteeship.
The late Cardinal conducted a referendum. Excuse me. The late Cardinal conducted a referendum.
No. That was not a referendum. That wasn't a referendum. That was his personal initiative. But let's take some calls and then we get
okay. We ourselves conducted a
But
referendum.
it was a survey. It was a survey that got people's opinions.
We
It was a
ourselves
survey.
conducted a referendum. Do you want to hear about that?
No.
We ourselves in Southern Cameroon conducted a referendum in Southern Cameroon. Do you want to hear about that?
What were the results?
Let me tell Pa one thing
Okay.
that doesn't.
In Southern,
Please,
in
we have just
1995,
we have
the
just
people of
a few
Southern
minutes.
Cameroon
So there are a lot of people.
conducted a referendum.
Just 1 minute.
That referendum had nothing to do with the Republic of
Yeah, 1
Cameroon.
minute. Pandangam will not allow.
Okay, all right, Pandangam. All right, let's hear about it.
1 minute. In 1959,
55.
in
1955, 56.
in application of resolution 1541, the conference of the Southern Cameroonians met in 1959 in Manfe.
Mm.
In Manfe, Pandangam. And
I'm talking about referendum in Southern Cameroon.
No, listen to me now. Listen to me.
He's going to the beginning.
But listen to me too. Listen to me.
Can you
We've been listening to you the whole
was
time.
conducted by us. You are not talking
When
about
you
the
were
late
talking,
Cardinal.
I was
Why
listening,
talk about the late Cardinal when we ourselves conducted one?
No.
1959 was not the Cardinal.
When
In
we're talking
The
1959.
referendum we conducted was not
listen now,
with the Republic of Cameroon.
Okay,
listen now.
You are
agreed.
saying that the
I am
Republic
saying
of
that
Cameroon should conduct
I am
another
saying that
referendum.
in enforcing Resolution 1541, a conference was held in Mamfe in 1959.
1959. Mhm.
59, 10th of I think 10th of August or 10th of July. A
July.
conference was held in Mamfe with a representative of the British, a British diplomat, to ask the people of the Southern Cameroons to vote to decide in that conference whether we are going to stay with Nigeria or we are going to be independent. 67% voted for outright independence,
Independence.
and 30 something voted to stay to have independence by joining Nigeria.
Nigeria.
La Republic was not part of that vote, Bandangam.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Now,
Thank you, Barrister
now,
Fu, for highlighting that. I want
that
to take
vote
this
has
caller.
been taken.
Right after that,
Referendum.
let me
We're talking
take
referendum.
this caller. Let me take this caller.
Conference.
Wait, Paddy. Let
Let
Barrister
me
Fu land.
take this caller.
The proposal means you set aside the Mamfe Conference resolution, you set aside Resolution 1608 and go for a referendum because you are part of and parcel of La Republic of Cameroon. No referendum is organized for a where the country is not sovereign. You organize a referendum in
Okay,
a
what I
sovereign
was saying
country.
about the referendum we conducted
It is in
ourselves
every
in
constitution in the
1995
world. It is
is
in
more
every
important.
constitution of the world.
It's more
All right.
important.
What you
It's
people
more
did in
important than that of
1995,
the
maybe
one of the
it's
cardinal.
not the
Why?
way of a referendum. Okay, let us take this caller. A caller wants to make a comment, and a lot of others. This caller has been waiting for about 10 minutes. There are a lot of other
Okay.
callers really calling. Let's get the feel of Amazonians, and we'll make our comments in conclusion. Hello, caller, your live on ABC. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead,
Hi.
please.
Okay. I want to first start by thanking Pandanga, Professor Tebo, Barrister Ghana, Barrister Fru for such a spirited debate on this topic. As a layperson, I just want to say that in 1993, after the All Anglophone Conference in Boya, our people wanted federation, right? That was their declaration. And then in April and May of 1994, they went further. They said that they would now prefer our independence completely if federation is not restored in a reasonable time. Then we've had a few surveys, including
Christian Cardinatumi.
And also the infamous CDM. Remember Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation did also a survey which surprisingly was in favor of independence. And then on the 22nd of September 2017, our people rose in mass to denounce the occupation of our territory by La Republique. And then on the 1st of October 2017, we restored our independence. I'm giving this history to say that the people have already spoken that they want independence, they want to control their territory. So the question of referendum for me is mute, it should not come out. And that's what I think. But in reaction to what Barrister Ghana said, that maybe others in the Republic also have a referendum, I see that as dangerous territory or dangerous waters, because if they were to have a referendum, it benefits them to say yes, we prefer to be with those people, because remember what they want is our land, our territory. They don't have anything to give us, they have something to benefit us. That's my contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Paddy.
Yes, go ahead, Barrister. Please go ahead. I will not even give in, Barrister Ghana, before you make your comment. I'm taking the next caller. Go ahead, Barrister Ghana. I will not even give in. As a Southern Cameroonian, I will not even tolerate any discussion of a referendum, because all this history is not of any use.
Paddy,
put all the conferences together. Let us first of
Comrade
all
Paddy,
have our nation as voted. Then we will choose what to do.
Okay.
Comrade
But
Paddy, listen. There's a saying, and listen to the wisdom of this saying. It goes like this: the only way to demonstrate absurdity is by being absurd. Let me repeat that again. The only way to demonstrate absurdity is by being absurd. The whole idea of us as an independent country or a territory with an independent status having a referendum is absurd. And the only way you demonstrate that absurdity is saying, let another independent territory also have a referendum. If they vote to be part of us and we say, no, we don't want to be part of you, game over. So
Exactly.
you are just demonstrating the absurdity of the suggestion to have a referendum is by telling them, you also have a referendum, and let's conduct a referendum simultaneously.
Thank you very
That's
much. We
interesting.
have a this is an interesting one. We have another caller calling in.
I will not take that risk.
Yeah, we have
Oh,
another
especially,
caller
yeah.
here.
Knowing
Caller, go
La
ahead.
Republic. Yeah.
Caller, go right ahead. We have a caller here. Yeah, caller, go ahead. Yeah, good evening, please.
Good evening.
Where are you calling from, if I may ask?
Calling from the Midlands.
Okay, and at the home front. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I'm calling from Midlands, home front.
Okay, go ahead.
The point Pandangam address has no point because is this referendum after war or before the war? Because La Republic is putting down all our population in case if they give us the referendum when they kill us all, then we will be the people to answer the referendum.
I wonder.
Because we think this idea of referendum before the war, you cannot bring a war, people start killing, then we go behind the door about referendum. So we should just put that out of point. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm taking the next caller. It's important that the international community get to know what our people feeling. This is another call coming from the home front. Please, where are you calling from precisely? Yes, go right ahead. Where are you
Yeah, I'm calling from Bull County.
Bowie County. Go ahead, make your contribution, please.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to thank you for the panelists and the coordination there. My question now is, La Republic is not willing to come to the table, but they want to use the military might and corrupt people around the world. What is the way forward for us to do to come to an end with this situation that people are dying?
Okay. Thank you very much. Barrister Ghana, do you want to answer that? What's the way forward, Barrister Fu? Any of you can react to that. Now that Cameroon continues killing off, I'm having the next caller.
Oh, that is why
I think that's a brilliant point that caller is making.
We have to stay fighting, and our Ambazonia Restoration Forces are there, will defend our people to the last man standing. We will not accept anything short of our independence, of our sovereignty, because we already have independence. We need our sovereignty, and we need countries around the world to recognize us, or La Republic comes to the table, and this issue is solved by negotiation, and we have our independence. We cannot. People are dying. We know that there's a sacrifice that we are paying. We are paying 6 years today. We cannot stop in midway. We must finish the job.
Right.
That is why we have to draft and support.
Well, Barrister Tim, please, if you're calling, I will pick your call. Don't be patient. You will have the opportunity to react. Barrister Tim is here to make a contribution. Go ahead, sir. You have the floor.
Thank you, Paddy. Thank the panelists. Thank everybody for supporting us. I just want to make a few clarifications. Let me start with the referendum. We mentioned Indonesia and East Timor. Now, there's nothing wrong with that mentioning. The Indonesian East Timor thing, the request for a referendum was made by Indonesia to United Nations supported by Australia and Portugal. And so it's not a secret of us, because the United Nations is not yet on the table. That's not how the when they're not on the table. They're not on the table at any time in discussion that we're fighting the war. Secondly, very important, what are you going to ask Aboriginals to decide in the referendum? Are we going to ask them to join the Republic or not? If that's what you want to ask, you must not forget that in 1961, the same question has been put to us in the plebiscite. And we indicated our intention to get independent by joining the Republic. But most importantly, the Republic rejected it with a no referendum, with a no to Resolution 1608. If they said no to our joining them, what are you going to ask us to join these people who said no? And even if we were to do that, we are really contradicting ourselves in terms of our restoration effort for independence.
Yeah.
If we are independent, why do we have to ask the United Nations to ask us to join somebody else?
Now, Pastor Tim, so that we follow up the discussion and make sure that this important thing you're saying and people understand. You are saying that those who are voting for this referendum are intentionally or indirectly or unconsciously trying to contradict our stance of restoring our independence. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
That's what I'm saying.
Correct.
Let me say that's exactly what I'm saying. Because again, I was trying to say in 1961, February who wanted to join these people. That was an intention. They voted no. What became of our vote in favor of independence? If the partner, as like Mr. Nagam says, could not be forced to join us, what became of that vote? Would therefore remain independent, but not ask for independence twice with the United Nations. Who had voted for independence by joining. The partner to that joining said no. They didn't cancel our independence by voting no to it. But nonetheless, they went ahead and forced the thing on them. Again, let me just say what you put some time before this about the special status. You see, the Republic has no right in any form or shape to give us what it wants. In 1961, again, Resolution 1608, paragraph 5, the state three government, they didn't say, they knew that the Republic was 5 times our size. They didn't say they were bigger than Southern They have to come to the table with the government. British Ireland had to come to the table with the government. So we're equal status. And then we will agree on what we want. They didn't tell the senior party that is going to be, or the UK, to give us what they want. No. And finally, if there must be a referendum, it will be on the discussion table. And the terms of the referendum will be discussed. Because right now that you and me are talking, the Republic that says we are part of them, but I'm not even agree there's a problem. How will you force them out to organize a referendum on your own terms? Who knows who will tell who will vote and who will not vote? The voter registers are controlled by Yahweh as we speak.
Correct.
So how can we go to tell them to come and organize? The United Nations is not yet on the table. Like again, in Indonesia, when the Indonesian government asks for East Timor, if you come here and organize a referendum, what the UN said, okay, if I'm coming to organize a referendum, you have to pull out your administration. And Indonesia pulled out. The United Nations formed its own administrators, and organized the referendum free of Indonesia. That is not the same case with us. They are not going to leave Bangladesh, they are not going to leave Boya, they are not going to leave, or they have not even agreed that they are going to do it. How can we be proposing a solution that Yahweh does not even imagine? How are we going to enforce it on them? So the talk of a referendum now is too out of place. It's premature in the first place. It's out of place at this time of the struggle. We are begging for a referendum. Our brothers have been begging for special status. Again, it is not working. Now we are again asking for a referendum for us to decide whether we want to remain with them in air, where we say we're no longer even part of them. They were asking ourselves, let us vote again to see if we go there or not. No. Let us, we're throwing our own intentions. That's my point, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I take the next caller. Please, gentlemen, be patient. You have all the time to make your contribution. Yes, caller, where are you calling from? Hello, caller. We lost that caller there from the home. Yes, hello, caller. Where are you calling from? Please, do you want to reduce the volume of your TV set or just move out of it? Yes, caller, where are you calling from, please? Yes, please. And we will be visiting FAQ via the federal draft next week. So talk to us. What's your contribution, if I may ask? Yeah, go ahead, please. Please reduce the volume of your TV set.
Your contribution is that now we have been to this union deficit. Okay, yes, what I'm trying to say is that we have been in this union for 60 years. We have been in this union for 60 years. And I believe that the United Nations can come up with the option of referendum, which is very good. We have been living. Instead of come up with that option, are you questioning that we have to receive? If you don't have the right to come with the option, we have to stop it. And the people are independent. So, what power is saying there is right.
We're having some difficulties to get this caller. Your line is a mess. It's just unfortunate we can't understand you. Please, do you want to work on your internet and call us back? Please, let me take the next caller. I can't hear you. I'm struggling to hear you. I can't hear you. That's unfortunate. Okay. I'll try to get the next caller. You can call back if you're listening to us. So is this whole you see the reactions from Amazonians. We're having so many calls coming in from the home front. I'm following even some of the someone is calling from the home front. Babila, I don't want to call his name. I know the person is in Bali. He's saying greetings to you people in the studio. Greetings to you too. We're having a lot of reactions. So you can type, and I will definitely read it, so our audience can react to whatever you're saying. Amazonians are totally disinclined to anything that has to do with a referendum, which I think it's a major concern for us here and now. And then we have Augustine, who feels that it is a way forward. We've heard the debates in and out, length, long and wide, and I think, in as much as the discussion is very enticing, we can go over and over again. It was about La République du Cameroon's arrogance using their proxy organization to propose to the international community a failed solution. But before I give the floor, I'm going to take it from the lady first. So we'll do this from the lady, Pandangam, Barrister Fro, and then Barrister Ghana for a conclusion. Let us find out what is happening on Twitter. Yesterday, okay, this will be the last caller we're taking from the home front. Yes, hello, caller, make your contribution. You're calling from Littoral. Okay, La République du Cameroon. Where are you from, Southern Cameroons? You're from Southern Cameroons, living in Littoral, am I correct? You're from Momo? Nice, it's a pleasure to talk to you. So what is your contribution?
Yeah, the issue of the referendum is what I believe that it is not right, because let's take this illustration. You find somebody who has just been rescued from a fire in a particular house in an attempt to pick up gold. That same gold he has in his own house. Again, you want him to go again to that place to pick up that gold. Would that fire still that place? Tell me, will you opt for it? Or you go for yours that is in your house?
Correct.
That's my question.
It's like the people from Momo today are bent on asking me very difficult questions. Barrister Ghana started by asking me if I can give him $1 million and commented that perhaps I don't have it. Who told you I didn't have it? And now you're asking me another very difficult question. I hope that as Professor Table, and my mother is coming from Momo, so you guys should be very careful with me this evening. Be very, very careful. So you, yeah, I get it. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. And perhaps we'll have that as a last from the home front tonight. So people are, my cousin also from the home front has just written, and he's saying referendum is a no. They don't even want to consider it, talk less participating. And if we are thinking about the people, on the 22nd of September, the people, what kind of referendum do we want? Southern Cameroonians globally, by default, by direct, indirect means, formal, informal, have already made their referendum. Why this whole discussion of a referendum? We're going to give our final statements, and you bear with me to start with the lady. Thank you very much. I'll have to drop your call now. My Professor Table, please. This discussion was on a special status and the reformation of it. We having La Republic trying to see if they can test or test the waters. And they are using a proxy organization who purports themselves as researchers. We wonder what they researched about our story for opting to reform the special status. And we now know and confirm our stance as a people. Please give your final remarks, Professor Table. I'm sorry, I muted your sound because there was something coming from your end. So let me give you back some sound.
Oh, okay. Still can hear me?
No, I can hear you very loud and clear. Just go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. I was saying that it's my pleasure to be here as always. It's unfortunate that ICG, or the International Crisis Group on the study of the Cameroon crisis, decided to put forth something that is so really, for lack of a better term and to be polite, unacceptable, and shows the ignorance as well as the arrogance that some of these groups come to the Amazonian war with. They assume to know things that they don't know, and they do not take the time to study what needs to be done. And so they continue to play stooges to La République regime. Granted, maybe they're making their money in the process. But that special status doesn't deserve a revisit, a reform, or a massaging, because it is completely useless. The special status did not do anything from the time that it was mentioned at the Grand National Dialogue or Monologue. It talked about, releasing prisoners. We still have Neraten and other prisoners locked up, some with life sentences. And people come and they're still talking about revisiting a special status or trying to grant bilingualism. Nobody needs bilingualism for this war to end. The issue is to figure out how to have a ceasefire, to have an enabling environment to bring La République to the table. This interim government led by Dr. Sako has been ready for these negotiations and dialogue for a very long time. And so instead of ICG wasting their time proposing a reform of special status, they should be pushing La République to come to the table. But by now, they also should have learned that La République is not to be trusted. They deceived Canada to become the laughing stock by making them believe that they were mediating and sending delegates, only to turn around and say they did not send anybody, pulling out of the genuine Swiss talks that the international community has supported, including Canada. And so that's to show you just how unstable La République is. So no special status reformation, no talk of referendum is even worth mentioning, because we already had that referendum. The people have already spoken. And now what we need to do is make sure that people understand that we are a nation, a sovereign, independent nation. We want recognition, and that is what we want to push for. Recognition. The president had said this is a year of acceleration. We're accelerating to make sure that people understand. And we want to remind people that while waiting for the United Nations or the international community or the ICG to come and be proposing foolish things, we have to fight till the last man standing. And in order to do that, we need to draft like never before. We have a draft coming up. We need to draft because we have to make sure that we take care of our IDPs, we take care of all the people who are in the bushes, we take care of our fallen, sick people, and we think about our future. It's not about just talking. So that is what I have to say on this subject. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Just so the last thing you said is not drowned. When you have scholars and legal minds on a platform, if you don't follow as we go, we might have great ideas drowned. The president said this is the year of acceleration, and he set it on motion from January by introducing to us the federal government draft. You've seen the fruits of it. We are reviving the movement after coup plotters destroyed it. And on Saturday next week, by this same time, we will all be with the president to ensure and help him accomplish this project. You have seen the results. If there's any time you have to believe in him, it is now. I tell people, these are historians, they are documenting it. I've been privileged to read documents from some of them and others. We have no leader of Southern Cameroons that has restored our dignity more than he's done from 2018 until today. When I'm talking about our dignity, his presence brought real self-defense. From Gojibinka suggested in 1994. He told us that the only way out of this will be an armed struggle. And that was actualized in 2018 when the president came. He said it in his second address to the nation. On the first address, he says, this is the time of self-defense. And it was not just a block by block background nonsense on the social media where people came and were talking have been briefed. You actually saw this is not a document by us. In less than 3 months, close to 30,000 volunteers from every LGA in Amazonia pledged themselves with their bare hands to execute this, and he funded them. Today he has done so. He has done at least almost every fighter in Amazonia has benefited from resources coming from President Sako. And this is a time we are asking you and we are saying that to accelerate it, we must take the federal draft very, very seriously. I'm coming to you, Augustine Dangan. It has been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure having you as one of the encyclopedia that we as a people do have in Amazonia. Perhaps you want to talk to our people on this aspect of a special state. You can give your final remarks on today or tonight's discussion, please. Paddy, floor is yours.
Well, thank you. The topic was what the International Crisis Group is proposing, that we should give the idea of special status a second thought. And I have said that is out of the question. We did not give it even a first thought, not to talk of a second thought. So there's no need elaborating. That is out of the question. I want to come on this matter of the referendum where we seem to have a lively discussion. It's a good discussion. And I think that we are all talking the same thing, but trying not to hear other things. For instance, I wanted to talk about the referendum which we ourselves conducted among ourselves, Southern Cameroonians. The point of the referendum is just that if a Southern Cameroonian is a Southern Cameroonian and his own political view is that we should join the Republic of Cameroon, don't refuse him. Don't say, don't speak, or I will not talk to him. No, leave him. Say, well, it's okay. Hold your own view. My own is that uh, I should like federation. Fine. Don't let the man of federation not say you who wants independence should not talk. No. We all accept that as Southern Cameroonians, you are entitled to your own political view. That is a given. That to me, nobody should tell the other not to talk. Let us get a neutral body to come into Southern Cameroon and we sell those different ideas to our people. And you are saying that if we are to do that, we should go and do that in La République. What for? We have never joined La République. This is what I stood for. I agreed with the lawyer, with barrister. We have never joined them. I stand on that point. We will never join them. I stand on that point. But La République du Cameroon, the president of La République du Cameroon, was the first person to propose a referendum. And he said that his point in proposing a referendum was to show that those people who are talking about separation are a minority. We held a meeting in Bamenda. I chairman that meeting, and we said, yes, good. We accept the referendum. And from that time, I have not changed. But it will not be a referendum conducted by you, La République. And it has to be conducted by a neutral body to show you that we are a minority. We accept it. And we are point of view that we are a minority. But let that referendum be conducted by the United Nations. And from that point, I've never changed. Let the United Nations come and do as they have done everywhere in the world, where an annexation question, people are saying they are annexed, and the people of La Republic are saying, no. The people who are saying that they are annexed, those people who want to separate are a minority. I accept the view of La Republic that there should be a referendum, but it will not be conducted by La Republic. And when the United Nations is conducted, it should be conducted as they have done elsewhere to solve an annexation problem. This is what I am saying, and I stand by it. I think that a referendum, a Southern Cameroonian, even if he holds a different view from yours, you should not tell him shut up, or you should not tell him you are a minority, or you should not tell him let us sell the idea to all our people. Let all our people vote. You don't have to say if we are to vote, then the other people should vote whether they like to join us. Why do you want to tell them to vote to join you or not to join
now.
you?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Paddy. Your point has
What I'm
been very,
saying.
very clear.
In 1995, we conducted a referendum. We called it signature referendum because we didn't
We
want
have heard
somebody
you
We've
to
now.
heard.
We have
Yes.
heard
We knew
you.
the percentage. I reported
We
it
have
to the
heard you
United
now.
Nations as vice chairman of
Go ahead.
SCNC.
All
Okay.
right.
You didn't
We
want
heard.
to see that.
All right. We have heard you.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. You said something. You said we should learn to hear other things. As a we heard you. We thank you for your like I said, you are like an encyclopedia. We appreciate the contribution you're doing, and I'm happy talking with you last night or 2 nights ago. You said some things very remarkable about yourself, which maybe I would like to just say to our people in rejection of whatever took place like a vote. And you said you were a part of the voting in 1972, and it was just a mess. You even have evidence of whatever they call ballot paper, which was a we and a yes. Please, you
And
bear with me.
yes.
I don't even like to use this, but I've been recommended. I
Don't
spent so
tell
much
me.
time.
Anything I tell you, I don't.
We
Yes,
don't
Yeah,
we don't
I
even
have
need to go
the
over
for
that.
me. I can show you the ballot paper
Can we
here.
proceed? Can we
thank
go?
you. Thank you very much.
We don't have time.
I want to give the floor to Barrister Flu now. He's been eager
Yes.
to react. I spent
Yes.
so much time on the screen. I don't like this, but I have to do it. Yeah, go ahead,
Thank you,
Barrister.
Paddy.
Yeah,
Thank you, Paddy.
yeah, go ahead.
The topics tonight was the special a reformed special status and a referendum. From the beginning, I said La Republique pretended to have joined with us. They invaded us on the 30th of September, and now they claim that we are part of them. We have never been part of them, and we had independence already before joining them. Whether we did join them, my view is that we did not join them because they did not execute Resolution 1608 was not executed, and they voted against. They have nothing to give us. If you don't have anything to give somebody, you cannot give that person something. They don't have a special status to give us. Neither do we have a special status to give them. We joined those who propagate the issue that we join them. We join them on equal status. They have no right to give us a special status or whatever they call it. And it has been, this issue has been brought by the crisis, the crisis group, whatever they call it. But let me tell you something. These people who say they are intellectuals have not done any research on the Southern Cameroons, and they have been working with La Republic of Cameroon. The proof is that they have not contacted anybody in the Southern Cameroons on the issue. They have not contacted the government, the interim government of the Federal Republic of Amazonia, to give their point of view as to this special status thing. They are working with La Republic, and they are trying to show the world that they support La Republique's stand of one and indivisible Cameroon. They should do that with La Republique and not with us. So there no special status in any shape or form, whether reform, amended, or whatever. We don't want anything from La Republique. Number two, the most important part is this issue of referendum. I would like to say that in law, a referendum is only done in a sovereign country. Each country in the world has a law, an electoral law, which talks about elections and referenda. Referenda in a country is to decide on an issue that the constitution says should not be taken by ordinary vote or taken by decree or by any other means other than asking the population. That is what a referendum means. We had our independence. We are an independent country. These people snatched our sovereignty, occupied our territory, and we are at war. So they cannot, nobody from Southern Cameroon should even think of having any referendum when we have not acquired our total sovereignty. The war, will have a war going on. And the only way that La Republique can propose anything to us at this point is on the table, negotiation table. The crisis group is the surrogate of La Republique. Let them prepare La Republique on that issue and send them to the negotiating table, and they propose it to us there on the table. Not going behind, writing articles and talking to La Republique through articles and so on and so forth. They should come to the table, tell La Republique whatever they want.
So you have already concluded that I see
the reformed special status on that table. Now, the question of referendum, it cannot happen in the Southern Cameroons. If La Republique wants a referendum or anybody wants a referendum, come to the table because we are at war. This war must end on the table and the issues decided on the table. For now, all Ambazonians, our issue, whether you are a federalist or you are what, we cannot decide on any referendum because our people have already spoken. They spoke in 1959 in the Mampé Conference by vote. All shades of opinion. The National Assembly was there, the cabinet was there, the House of Chiefs was there. the Southern Cameroon was represented in Mafe in all its form, and they took a vote. And that vote was either joining Nigeria or having independence. and the result was 67% for independence and 33% for Nigeria. So our people had already spoken. Secondly, on the 22nd of September, the population itself came out all over the national territory of Ambazonia and asked La Republic to leave their territory. And on the 1st of October 2017, again the same year, the restoration of the independence of Southern Cameroon took place. It was proclaimed by the then interim president of the Southern Cameroon, Ayuk Tabe. Secondly, a plebiscite was taken on the 11th of February. A plebiscite was taken on the 11th of February. We spoke. We said we're joining La Republique of Cameroon. And the United Nations brought out a modality and tell us how we have to join. La Republique voted against that resolution, which brought our independence, voted with France and other Francophone countries except Mali. And when it came to implementation of Resolution 1608, the United Nations, the UK, and La Republique refused to organize that conference that would have come out with a text, a treaty between the Southern Cameroon and La Republique of Cameroon. It never took place. La Republique of Cameroon, on their own, since they know that they had occupied our territory, they organized what you call the Fumban Conference, which yielded nothing, except that they rammed down a constitution that they voted on the 1st of September on the throats of the Southern Cameroon. And our so-called government, led by John Puncha, the KNDP government, did not think that they could come back and consult the Southern Cameroon Parliament. So there was no joining. So we remain an independent country. All we want is our sovereignty. That is, La Republique leaves our territory, and we have people recognizing us and recognizing us to become members of the United Nations as we were. I want to argue that we were even given independence, meaning that we were already members of the United Nations. Because if you are not independent, you cannot be a member of the United Nations. They robbed us of our sovereignty and prevented us from exercising our rights as members of the United Nations. Therefore, my dear country people, there is nothing going to take place in the name of a referendum when there is a war going on. We have to sit on the table, and La Republique, or whoever is proposing a referendum or proposing the special status, will come to the table and give us that. And we will talk on the table and decide on the table. Until then, the war continues, and we will fight to the last man standing. We are fighting from this end with money. We are drafting, and I'm calling on all Ambazonians to draft the federal government. Coming next Saturday, we should finish the federal government and then enter the counties and LGAs to draft to them, so that we empower our people, empower our interim government to make sure that La Republique leaves our territory. And La Republique right now is on its knees. We will finish them, or other groups will finish them. That government is on its knees, and we cannot be sitting here and giving them the bullet to fight us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I really wish I don't have this on. I'm not feeling comfortable with it right now. Barrister Gara, before you come, our people are reached. A lot of people are just sending messages here. That referendum talk don't spoil my day. I don't want to hear it. So Ambazonians are, in a large amount of them, they are totally disinclined to the discussion of it. And I'm even just thinking again, if according to what Pa is suggesting, why do we as Amazonians will need a referendum to determine the state of the government we will have as a sovereign country? We're definitely going to have elections. Maybe we should have our independence ratified, and then we sit now as Amazonians and start talking as a way forward. That could be a discussion, but that is not supposed to be a discussion now. It should be a discussion when La Republique du Cameroon is out of our territory and we are fully in control. Then we can unite any discussion at that time. That would be democratic to listen to every opinion.
You are talking
Now,
like that because you think we will force them out by arms.
Before I get to you, Barrister Ghana, I want to remind us of what Barrister Tim said, so that we're not missing it. He said something which I agree with it, and he said, those who are suggesting a referendum now as a way out of this quagmire, I'm not quoting him word verbatim, please, are indirectly or directly trying to argue our idea of a restored independence that we want to actualize.
Correct.
Barrister Ghana, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Comrade Paddy, and thank you to the very intelligent minds on this panel. I want to start by just saying, during one of these discussions, Paddy, I would really like to have somebody from French Cameroon come represent the French Cameroon thought, and let's have this debate and weigh in their opinions. Someday maybe I want to have somebody like Dieudonné Essomba or some other person come sit on this panel. But absent of that, I just want to pretend for just a minute like I'm an indigene of French Cameroon, listening to all of this talk. And let me speak like an indigene of French Cameroon when I'm hearing these special status and hearing this referendum. And I'm an indigene of French Cameroon, and I'm going, damn, it's 2023. We of French Cameroon got our independence on January 1st, 1961. And ever since we went and colonized the Southern Cameroons, ever since we went and lied to these people and stole their sovereignty, ever since we went and annexed these people, our country, French Cameroon, has been in disorder for about 62 years or 63 years. All what we've had is chaos. First, we had Ahijo, who ruled as a dictator for God knows how many years. And then we had Paul Biya, who for 40 years has turned our nation into anarchy. While other African countries like Senegal, Kenya, Botswana, South Africa, Namibia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Ghana are becoming democratic, we cannot even start to form constitutional structures that would deliver good democracy, all because we are trying to swallow up Amazonia. Hello? We are in a country, we of French Cameroon are in a country where we have 3 secretary generals of the presidency in Kondongi, where we have prime ministers in Kondongi, where we have ministers and people of supposed repute who are supposed to be enjoying life as grandparents sitting in Kondongi. We of French Cameroon have a nation where we don't even have a succession plan, where we have a where there's a looming battle between the president's son and this guy at the Secretary General called Ngongo. We of French Cameroon are witnessing what we've done to Amazonia for about 62, 63 years. That is coming back to haunt us, where we are capturing our own son, Martinez Zogo, and decapitating him like a dog, cutting his fingers, cutting his genitals, pulling his skin off. That is what we are beginning to do to our own people, ordered by this fool of a justice minister called Laurent Esso, and this other fool called Bellinga, who are now, Bellinga, who is now sitting in Kondongi. We of French Cameroon have bad roads, bad institutions, a bastardized educational system, no hope for the future, just because we have tried to capture and hold Ambazonia captive. So why do we even want to give Ambazonia special status and continue with this curse over our head? Why do we even want to have Ambazonia have a referendum and come back to this union with that curse? Why don't we want to let them go like Egypt let the Israelites go? What is this absurdity of trying to hang on to Ambazonia when it's only holding us back? That is what I would be thinking about if I was a reasonable person from French Cameroon. But the last caller from Douala said something, and he was right. He said, why do you want to go back to a burning fire when you're finally escaping from it? Which takes my mind back to what the Fon of Bafut said. And if you read an article in 1959 in the Grassland Gazette, when the Fon of Bafut was being consulted about this whole idea of joining Nigeria or joining French Cameroon, this is what the Fon of Bafut said. Nigeria is like water. We don't want to go there and drown. French Cameroon is like fire. We don't want to go there and be in fire. After about 63 years, or about 64, 65 years, the Fon's words have been vindicated. That French Cameroon is indeed fire. And that inferno is only getting bigger and bigger and is about to explode. Why do we even want to consider the absurdity of, through a referendum, even having the slightest chance of going back to that absurdity of French Cameroon? So that caller from Douala, who spoke of French Cameroon being a fire, was right on point. And as Barrister Fru said, we are fighting our way to assert our sovereignty, because we have to ask a determinative question. In law, they call it the crucial factual proposition. It goes like this: who owns the sovereignty of Ambazonia now? Because when UN General Assembly on April 21st passed that resolution 1608, and they said Ambazonia can gain its independence through sitting together with French Cameroon and working out the modalities of a union, that never happened. So our sovereignty never transferred to a federal nation as mandated by UN Resolution 1608. So I come back again to ask that crucial factual proposition, that operative question: where is the sovereignty of Ambazonia? The answer is simple. It never got transferred to a federation consistent with paragraph 5 of 1608. So it remains with Ambazonians. So our focus is to assert that sovereignty. That still stays with Ambazonia. It is not with France. It is not with French Cameroon. It is not with any federal United Republic of Cameroon. It still resides and stays with Ambazonians, which should be our focus. It's a right for us here in the diaspora to support our people who are on the ground defending themselves from the genocidal killers of French Cameroon. In any common law or legal jurisdiction in the world, self-defense is a right. And since our sovereignty is still couched with us and not with any federal constitution of any supposed Federal Republic of Cameroon, we have to defend it. We have to support our people on the ground who are defending our sovereignty as is expressed in any legal jurisdiction in the world that gives them the right to self-defense. And that is the only thing that stops French Cameroon soldiers from going into villages like Kendem, like Kwakwa, like Lobe, like Ngabu, and slaughtering our people. So as the draft is coming forth for the purpose of self-defense, for the purpose of stopping our people from getting slaughtered, we have to rise up to support them against these genocidal killers. And if you are in the United States, if you are in Europe, if you are in Australia, if you are in South Africa, and you're of income earning capacity, and you're not supporting our refugees, and you're not supporting our internally displaced people, and you're not supporting restoration forces who have been wounded, and you're not supporting the care of our mothers and sisters who have been raped, then shame on you. The draft is coming. Don't say you stand for our independence. Don't say you stand for the liberation of ourselves when you cannot mount that courage to dip into your pocket and support our people who are suffering on the ground. So again, that crucial factual proposition is the question of, where does our sovereignty reside? And comrades, it still resides with the independent people of the Federal Republic of Amazonia. Long live Amazonia, long live our spirit to fight and deliver ourselves. Long live the spirit of freedom in the world that is defended by the aggressive use of force. Thank you, panel.
Thank you very much, Barrister Ghana. I don't think there was any better way for us to have concluded this discussion of tonight. A holy scripture reads in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 27, and it says, "But God had chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and God had chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty." How had it been that La République du Cameroon had known that their viciousness, France and Cameroon thought that their viciousness, scheming with the Queen of England and choosing not to let the process of joining go through legally, they thought they were playing a fast one. Had it been they knew that this generation was going to come to decode the legality of their illegality or of their bad behavior, they would have just gone through that process. We would not be having this discussion today. Unfortunately for them, they didn't do it because they actually were not interested in any equal status with us. They wanted to annex us. They wanted to control us. This explains to us exactly why they will beat our teachers, they will question their tainting our education. They will beat and kill our lawyers for asking questions. They beat and maimed us for even asking questions. And that's where we are today, fighting a senseless war to ensure that our homeland is totally free from the Franco-Cameroon hegemony. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for respecting. You've had 3 hours, and I think it's time for me to tell you goodbye to go. And I want to, this is an indictment. I know Professor Table is a patron. Your due is due. Your patron due is due. Let me just let you know. I'm going to be calling you after this. Barrister Ghana, Barrister Fro, Barrister Daddy. If you are not a subscriber, go and subscribe. Barrister Ghana, I'm going to be calling you as well. I'm calling on all those who are watching us right now on ABC Amber Television. Go to our website and become a club member. This is the only platform that will this war for us. You don't want to make a mistake at any time. Cameroon wants us to shut down. They are using Chris Arno. Chris Arno intelligence report has it. A few days ago, Chris Arno grouped his people and they're scheming on how to stop us. But like I've just read this scripture for you, let them try. We sent a warning to Beto Kito and Chris Arno in 2021 and 2022, early 2022, and they thought we were joking. Perhaps they feel the absence of clothes will give them a window to come in. Let them try it. Let them try it. And this is not a bluff. If Chris Arno wants to go to jail this time, not just being unable to pay the court, let him just dare it. Let him dare it. But I'm telling you, we cannot just do this. We're asking you right now that be a part of this and respect your dues and make us fight this war the way we are already doing. We have been diligent for the first time since the creation, since the president ordered us to have ABC in 2018. For the first time, ABC has been running for more than 1 year without us coming publicly to cry like Chris Arno was doing. the indication was he was a bad leader. He was zero in administration. I told people in the communications department, nobody understood it. It's not like we are not facing the same challenges that we were facing before. The only reason you don't find us publicly coming to cry and beg you is because we have a better manager in the person of Maendele, and we have a good structure that is at work, that is working right now. It's a structure like never before. And I'll tell you, from the time of SCDC on to now, I've worked with all the TVs, with the TV of Berry Youth, the TV when Pastor D failed and we gave it to Dexter, Chris Anu, until today. And I will tell you, now that we are spending the least of all the TVs, and we are doing at least 10 times more than all of them. You should. I have facts. We have statistics and facts to give to you. So if you want them, we'll provide that to you. And we're telling you that we can only get better. We can only move forward. And there's no stopping us. This is your time to be a part of this. Right after the break, I will convey to you some announcements as to the projects we have this month. And thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to those who celebrate Easter. Thank you.
Yes, happy
Method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook, ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768, www.abcambertv.com. Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook, ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768, www.abc.
Okay, welcome back. I just want to take a few minutes of your time. Remember, we having Undaunted 1 year anniversary. We're using that to celebrate other things. We're celebrating some achievements that ABC has been able to do. And the date that Ma Endele has decided, I think a framework on how it's going to go will be the 30th. We thought the 22nd, but Ma Endele, the DG of ABC, thinks that we should have it on the 30th. We'll be having a series of discussion with the board and patrons over the weekend into next week to give you a complete program in that regard. The president is calling you all to join him in on Saturday 15th. That's next week. About this time, we all should be there, and we understand that the Atlantic Zone will be hosting the president in this effort to draft the federal government. Uh, all members of the counties within the Atlantic zone should send delegation or members of their counties or officials of their counties from Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday so that they can come and brief us on their preparedness ahead of the draft. So we are available to receive you prime time from Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We're going to decide if it is possible on Wednesday. So we'll be available to receive you. Please endeavor to do so. We are also, ABC is also asking all county representative and LGA representative to communicate with their LGAs and get their dues to ABC. The LGAs need to respond to us and respond to us now. It is important for them to do so proactively. Ma Endele will definitely be having a meeting probably with county chairs and officials in this regard for us to plan ahead of time. It's going to be a conference. We're thinking perhaps it should be a summit or a nose conference that should last for at least 3 days. We'll have patriots like Pa Augustine Dangam and others. We're hoping to have some faces that you've not seen before to come and speak. We're inviting the press. We've communicated some major press houses. We're inviting the press to be a part of this news conference that we'll use to celebrate this 1 year anniversary. We'll also, so far we've been doing pre-rap, the Ambazonia rapper sales that has been produced by ABC Amba Television. And lots of Ambazonians, you've seen some already wearing on TV. Lots of Ambazonians are purchasing. You can purchase from anywhere around the world. We will make the effort to see how we can get the wrapper for you. We want everywhere in the world to be blue and white and a wrapper that carries a lot of significance as far as our history is about. We want everybody to have a copy before we celebrate our independence, and there will be aggressive sales and distribution. There's a plan or framework that the president has given to us on how to have this wrapper distributed globally, and we think that is a good method to adopt. So we will be launching. So for now, the pre-sales continues. We'll officially be telling the public this suggestion given by the president that we want to adopt. We'll be unveiling that during the news conference or the Undaunted Lodge coming the end of this month. But before then, keep purchasing your wrapper. You know how to get in touch with us. You know how to contact us, and be rest assured you can ask those who have received theirs. They are very satisfied with the quality, with the beauty. You want to be a part of this. This is not a time when any Amazonian, we are writing and making history right now. It is not a time when any Amazonian, for any reason in the world, wants to be lukewarm in this our diligent cause to free our homeland totally, either by asserting our rights by putting our own costumes, or by singing our own anthem, or by enhancing our own television. This is not a time when you want not to be a part of this. Thank you very much. Isubu was assassinated by enemy forces, pioneered by Cho Ayaba this day. And we thought that because of the leadership qualities that he possessed. We'll have to highlight him, and so that we will set an example for others to follow. Insubu is a face of the self-defense at home front, and we must shout it abroad for all to know that once upon a time there lived a son of Bui who set an example, who was selfless, who was valiant. He demonstrated the Amazonian spirit and was unwaveringly fighting to free his people. And the proof of his leadership, the proof of Insubu's leadership, is what is happening in the Buingo Kitunja axis today. Even 1 year after his passing, Cameroon is not finding it easy. That is the proof. Not, you know what is happening in Libya, let me know what is happening elsewhere. We're trying to see if something can happen. So a leader is not shouting with a big mouth. A leader is based on the work done. And there's proof for this. You can judge me with your evidence. But my name is Tarh Paddy King. I want to tell you good night. Bye-bye.
Method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook, ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768. www.abcambertv.com. Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768. www.abcambertv.com.